Whereas if I could offer that same ref, 2 or 3 matches at one place that were together in some logical fashion, meaning 10, 12, and 2, then it would be an incentive, and that's all we're looking for here. In the long run, we had a guy, and he just passed away, that was going to go really start on the problem of referees. But that problem right now is today is beyond a solution for us. We have been 5 years. This organization has constantly been trying to get somebody to do something about refs, more refs, more refs, more refs, and nobody has taken the bit into their mouths. We finally did. We hired somebody who we thought would go out and do that, and Merritt passed away before the season started, unfortunately. So,
but Paul, I think that even if
yes.
Merritt was around, it wouldn't. I mean, because the referees is the question is that we have limited referees. We have too many leagues,
Yes,
too many tournaments, too many situations. So the question is, how do we get the referees to our games? Now, do we have to go to central location to have the games? Do we put multiple cups?
that's a question for Tony and Neil and the guys that assigned him. Tony and Neil, is that an issue? And then putting more games together in a place where a ref can get there, is that
right now?
I don't think so.
You're just talking about center referees. You said the clubs are the ones that have to worry about the ARs. That's where most of my problems are, is squeezing in the ARs. I really don't have a problem filling my games with the centers.
Who's that speaking?
It's Tony Neely.
Okay, good. Well, that's great. But Tony, then we do have problems. We seem to have out east in our playing coalition. We've missed a number of games, and in that Sarasota, I know Kai and the guys at Charlie have talked to me, and they've been filling in. I think Charlie's been using their own guys, like his own coordinator there, to fill in the centers. Now that's another partial solution. We've always maintained that our assigner gets the center for the match, because at least there's an illusion of a non-bias there, right?
Well, Paul, the problem that you have is these clubs are supposed to get us the centers, and they're supposed to supply you with referees. Okay, my biggest problem I have is up in Citrus County. I basically have to bring referees from out of the area to go do the games up there, because they don't have any referees up in that area.
But okay, Tony, so stop right there. So that particular issue, and we're going to have to parse this out. And in other words, Greg, after we leave this, if that's the case, Tony, we're going to have to force those areas to come in closer to where the center of this playing coalition is in order to join. Right.
The problem with us up there, they have very few referees, and if you get 4 or 5 referees can't ref that weekend, that's where I got to pull somebody in from the outside. But
but what if they all played their matches in Hernando or further south?
Would make a difference.
Then it wouldn't be a problem.
Would that help?
That wouldn't be a problem if they had to play down in Hernando or County.
Yeah, but your issue, what you're talking about right now, is the orphan game issue, right?
Yes.
That you just don't have enough refs.
One game up in Beverly Hills is a little tough sometimes to cover.
But, so Tony, if we could identify them, if we got to the point where we can identify where you, in your estimation, it was going to be difficult to cover matches where there's one team 75 miles from the center of 80 miles from the airport. Let's call the airport the center of the playing coalition. It isn't, but that's good enough for now. Then that's the first thing we got to do is to force those teams further south or back in where we can get multiple games at a site. We haven't done that in the past, and we haven't forced people to do it. But this may be I don't know, but I'm saying this is one of the solutions to the orphan game problem. In other words, we've got too many games out by themselves, and there's not enough refs in the area that we're dealing with to get it done.
Paul, I'd like to
Yes.
say something. Let's say I'm talking about South. There's 17th Street. There's Tatum Ridge. That is Braden River. There is
It's just-
GT Bray. All of them has got games on a Saturday, 10 a.m. So there is four different places in Sarasota, Bradenton area. That means 12 referees. And if you look at the Premier Sports Complex, there's four games are stacked up. Which referees want to go 4 games or 1 game versus? So they want to go to 4 games. Wherever it has
Where-
been stacked games, they
So,
go
so
there.
you're saying it because we only have one match at a
Yeah,
site, it's less attractive.
and less attractive. They don't want to go with 1 game.
Okay.
It's 10 a.m.
Yeah,
Right.
can I say what my situation is here? So the last weekend we got our game canceled.
Who is
and
this, Kai?
It's Kai in
Okay.
Sarasota. So I ran into this probably 17-year-old kid from Northport who came to referee a game, and the game got canceled. So he was at the parking lot, so he's going home. He had no games at all. Yesterday, I ran into the same kid. He had 5 games, and he was happy. So now I realized that I think there's a lot of referees who don't move anywhere. I ain't not gonna leave home unless they get 3 or 4 games in a row.
Well, that's Kai. So that's a separate issue, but a
No,
big one.
but what I'm saying is that if I know that, I can move my game so
Right.
that if I knew when the other games are the
Yes.
that
That's
schedule-
part of the problem. That's exactly what I'm talking about, though, Kai.
I don't
is
know
that
when the other games
I don't
are.
know that we'll get that kind of coordination between some
Well,
of
I
these
think-
leagues.
Paul, I think that's where if the home teams have a referee assigner, I think knowing the referees and dealing with them on a daily basis helps you out. I mean, I know for our referee assigner. we have
If you
referees.
could, Charlie, is that you?
Yeah. we know
Charlie,
we
it seems
our
like you've
referees.
got more control down there on, I think
Yeah,
we're
what-
gonna,
what
we're
we
gonna,
do-
fight. We're
it's
gonna
because
fight
our
this club
we're
to
small.
club, that if you've got centers, right?
Paul, I think we're smaller, but what we do as a club, we actually have a mentor program, and we pay for the uniforms. And
I
pay-
get it. Well, listen, we'd be glad to do that if we could get them, if we could just get them in there. We haven't found anything, Charlie, that's been, for you, it's been effective. And that's exactly why we hired or funded Merit to go out to all the clubs and start to
Right.
work with them. But that's gone. I mean, that whole thing, and that's a
get it.
long-term solution, and that's a 5-year
But if we
solution.
have, if in some of these games, we have referee assigners that are local, that know the referees and can get them on there. I think that sometimes is better than referee assigners that are far
I
away.
agree. So if you say, hey, don't bother, don't worry about assigning, tell whoever's Burke, I think is doing that area. I don't know who's doing that area, but you tell Burke, I don't need anybody next weekend or the weekend after that, because I think I can get all of the centers we'll need at Charlotte. That would take some of the pressure off of the assigners.
Yeah, I 100%
But
agree.
what Burke's saying,
Sure,
I think is more important, is you've got 6 games at 10 o'clock. So if we knew that, why don't we spread them out or
Well, because we don't do the scheduling, Paul. We
no,
let the
but that,
clubs
but
schedule their own
Greg,
time.
Greg, those days are gone, man. I mean, we're in another world. If you haven't got any
understand that.
refs, you haven't got a league.
I
So
understand that, but
we've got to come up with more creative solutions
Yeah,
where,
but Paul, look, I mean, yeah, I think we're going around here. The trouble is that we don't have enough referees. The club,
right, but we're not going to solve that, Mike.
clubs have limited space, so they can't say, well, we can play at any different times because they got X amount of fields, X amount of games. So the games have to get played at those times. You can't say, well, we're not going to play the U12 games because we got a U16 game going on. You can't do it because that's the only space available. They got to play the game.
Well,
Unless you wanna
but
play
Mike,
it.
we don't even know where that is. Some of the fields don't have that issue, and we're just doing it. No one's thinking about setting games at times that make it easier for refs to get to them and work them.
okay, so
You know what I'm saying?
with that in mind, Paul, with that in mind,
Right,
a
right.
couple things, listen, couple things. Number one, we have been lax in not enforcing the clubs okay, to grow the referees. If you go ask any club that has more than 4 teams and ask them how many referees they have, they'll tell you they got 2. If that.
Yes, you're right. But here's the thing. We're now on the moon. And you're saying, what the fuck did we come up on a moon for? I mean, we can't get back. It's too late. You're on the moon, man. You
I'm
got to
talking
figure
about
out the
for next-
problem now.
That's fine.
We're not going to
year.
we're not going to be able to find the clubs or hard-ass the clubs to getting referees in a time frame that matters for us right now or for the next 2 or 3 years.
Well, if they're going to play in the league, they have to share some of the responsibility.
Okay, so
That's
so,
one thing.
So we
The other-
eliminate anybody that doesn't have refs from playing in the league.
Well, what that means is that those outlying clubs and those one-offs that you're talking about.
Well,
and
that's what I'm talking about.
We
Yes,
can't get refs there anyhow. So if they can't,
that's correct. But
if they
that's
can't
got
grow
to
them,
be
then they go find someplace else to play.
those. Yeah, but I mean, that's not the point of this. The point is to try and encourage people to play, right?
Well,
I mean, it's easy to tell people to go fuck off. I mean, that's easy, right? But that
Paulie,
doesn't work.
why don't we have Burke and Neil tell us what the issue is and what possible solution there are, because they're the ones that are on the front lines of this issue. We are not on the front lines of the issue.
No, but Mike, we still got
Hey,
to find
guys,
the problem.
the issue is different in
Yes.
every area, because I listen to all the issues and I don't have the same issues in Polk County. Okay, so each area is different. So we have to look at each area, what their issues are, and not just overall issue.
I
okay.
agree. I think that's really the smartest thing anybody said tonight is that it's not one issue. We've got 7 or 8 issues. But Neil, as far as trying to coordinate, is there any better planning on these things that would help in any way that you can see?
What, to coordinate referee scheduling?
Yes, in other words, to
Very-
get the games,
hey,
so there's not 8 games at 10 o'clock and
I have been blessed that Mike has allowed me to do the scheduling over the past 8+ years. So I handle the schedule for the games as well as the assigning. So it flows extremely well. I know that there are
even
other
the centers. You've had no problem getting centers.
In the past, I've had problems getting centers. Jim Vars would basically say, I got nothing. And
Okay.
it would be not a problem. I can cover it. And
How far out would Jim tell you that he couldn't cover it?
3 or 4 days.
Okay, so in that time, FC Tampa can come up with a solution, in your opinion.
Well, I am fortunate where I have enough referees in my pool who are very loyal, and I can make sure that I can adjust things, because usually it ends up being, hey, they're already doing 2 games. Would you mind picking up a 3rd game? Or they're already doing 3 games. Can I adjust you around a little bit so that I'm working with this next Saturday right now. I have a game that just moved off, and I contacted the crew and said, hey, listen, you lost the game. Can I put you on these other games, which I'm having some issues with? And 2 of the 3 refs have said, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I've been fortunate that way, but that's also, I saw some comments that Ray made about, a personal touch. That's also because I'm at the fields every Saturday and Sunday. It's rare that I'm not there. So they see me, they understand, they have a contact point as opposed to someone on a GOT Sport assigning site.
But your solution, Neil, tends to be, and not that I'm criticizing it, it's good. It tends to be very personalized. If Neil wasn't there, you may have problems there too. You're obviously way beyond.
But if I'm not, hang on, Burke. If I'm not there, there are 2 senior referees that I make sure are there. So if there's an issue, I'm not saying they're going to assign, but they can turn around. It's kind of like Brad over at Collier Parkway. If there's an issue, there's a person there who can handle it right off the bat.
So that's, but that's not a universal solution.
No,
Yeah,
it's not
that's
a
the problem.
universal solution.
Okay,
Unless,
I'd like to say
unless we can
something.
get a couple, like, if we could clone you, that would be wonderful. But unfortunately, we don't have, and Mike has set the situation up. It's a really well-run club. We don't all, we've got 40 clubs in the playing coalition, and we don't
Okay,
have them
Paul.
all like you guys. I mean, that's all
Paul.
there is to it, unfortunately.
Paul,
So we're trying
I
to
work-
find out a more general solution to the problems we do have. Correct? I mean, that's what we're trying to get to tonight. Is the problem that we have too many orphan games? Tony says yes in some areas, but Les says no, he doesn't have those problems out east.
Oh, my problem,
Okay,
can I tell
let's
you what
talk-
my problem has been the last 3 weeks?
Yes, tell me.
The last 3 weeks, my problem has been this week and 2 weeks ago, the conflict with State Cup in Auburndale. So because of what's being offered to the referees, it's hard to get these referees to come to our games because they're being offered bonus to do those games. Okay?
But so
Now,
that
after this week,
if we knew that those games are going to be played on that weekend, next season, for instance, and Kai or somebody that was well, Kai does, but I mean, the rest of them don't have their shit together enough to do that. But the problem is, you say, look, we're going to have 18 games at Auburndale next weekend. That would be a good week not to have home games out east, or at least many of them.
that's
And we
correct.
had
That's a matter of coordinating.
So there need to be coordinated effort between FYSA and some of these other leagues in scheduling.
Well,
and
if possible, that's a
just like
really
their
sunshine solution.
coordinated effort with certain tournaments being played on certain weekends where no games are played that weekend.
Yeah, although you
Guys.
can't, I mean, you got to play some
But-
matches. There's a tournament every weekend.
I will say this much, that starting next week, it will get better for ARs. The issue is still with the centers. Since
Yes.
the senior teams then playing most of them this week or next weekend, we have a lot of ARs on those teams that will be available and know in our area to do games.
Les, if you had to, could you assign the centers? Could you manage the centers out at your club?
Well, the assigner there is James at the club.
Okay.
Okay. So, I know the last time we talked about maybe the club takes over the signing of the center, and maybe that will make life easier. Then
Well, in certain areas, we know we don't
in
have
certain
enough,
areas, right? And
where we
as
don't have
opposed to-
enough refs. So
as opposed to one
my
person
suggestion
assigning
is,
for 6
Yes.
clubs and also assigning for FYSA.
so it again goes back to, this is hand-to-hand combat right now. We're going to have to go and find out from each and every club exactly what their capacity is, and where we can cut them loose from our central assigning. We'll do that if we agree on it. But I'm saying that's one thing. If we can get ourselves out from under 30% of the matches, then we can start to maybe because these orphan games, I don't know if it isn't too late this season to address that. But I think by next season, before we start, we're going to have to put our thinking caps on and come up with a better system of coordinating play.
Hey, Neil, what's your capacity there for scheduling games after 1 o'clock in the afternoon? You're on mute.
Okay, you mean what, we have next Saturday, I have games going till 6:30 PM.
Okay.
The
all right,
following Saturday, I have games going till 9 PM.
Okay, all right. Now, I guess the question then would be to all the rest of the clubs, do they have that many games going that late? And is it possible to pull maybe a couple 10 and 11 o'clockers and put them in the afternoon where some referees can get back-to-back games?
that's the advantage. That's the advantage of doing the scheduling. You know, when I did the scheduling for a club in Pasco County for many years,
Right.
and the parents were pissed off in the U10s because all of their games were between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. And the DOC said it's not an issue about when the games are being played. It's an issue of when we have enough yellow shirts out there. So once they realized that, the flow went completely through the entire day without a problem, because referees would jump from, you know, this grouping of games to the next grouping of games, and then the next set of refs would come in and do the third block and the fourth block. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, I'd
Yeah.
like to say something. I'd like to say something.
Go ahead.
Neil works for the club as a scheduler. Most of the assigners get the schedules from club schedulers. If your club scheduler is not working very well, is not very responsive, you're gonna have a problem. I'm not gonna name the club, but I work searching clubs very well, and that they're on top of everything, and that we have no issues. I have searching clubs that they don't organize well, and that we have all the time issues, and they want to change the games day and night. When you change the game day and night, it makes my job harder. I cannot afford
Yes.
the
But Burke, that's not a possibility yet. Next season, I agree with you. We've got to come up also with a reason. You got a schedule. You've got to stay closer to it. Sherry right now probably has had 900 changes in the schedules.
Okay, I know. Listen,
so we can't keep doing that. We can't
listen,
keep doing
can I say something? Short-term result is if we can schedule the game somewhere close and then back to back, like a 10, 12, 2 somewhere, and
we
then
can
some
try
fields
to,
are willing to do that, that will be helpful.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I am my club scheduler, and I try to schedule the game so we can use the same crew for multiple games, because as someone said earlier, no one wants to come out for one game.
No, but see, Les, the issue we always have is you, Mike, Kai, Ray, all these guys, Coco, they're all organized. Their clubs are organized, so you can move around. It's the other 20 clubs that one problem is you've got some clubs with 12 different leagues, and they're all mashed in, and we've got to tease that out. We've got clubs that really are under-organized. I mean, let's face it, and we're going to have to force them to change the way they play. I believe by next season, we're going to have to put them somewhere where we can get them onto fields that are that we can get refs to more easily. We've come to that. I don't think it's our home and away format. I think is for some clubs is just not going to work anymore. You won't have refs. That's the problem. And I think where Mike's headed, I would love to have just USA refs, and that's where maybe we were starting with merit to gather that, but that would have been a 5-year deal, and we can do whatever we can to do that. But the problems we have are right immediate. They're going to be next weekend, the weekend after that, the weekend after that, and we've got to try somehow and come up with something where we make it easier to get refs to the fields and more effective. That's all there is to it. If it's paying them more, then pay them more. Again, not my solution, but that's been suggested. Do we pay the assigners more and get them to cover the games because it's more profitable for them to do it? That might work. I don't think so. Well, these are the market solutions that most people would come up with. If you can't get raw material, you pay more for it, you get it. In this case, the referees are the raw material, and we're in the same problem that everybody else is in this pandemic. Our supply line is not working properly.
Paul, but if you don't have enough referees, that's an issue, right? I mean, the
Well,
real issue is that we
well,
don't have enough
the
referees.
assumption is Mike will pull referees from other leagues.
No,
Hey,
no,
hey,
you'll
hey,
pull referees from other clubs. You're not going to pull them from other leagues. You're going to pull them from other clubs.
Well, right
Okay,
now, we don't
I
pull
wanna
them
say
from clubs. Our problem is the leagues. We've got 6 separate
Paul.
leagues playing. Right?
Please, can I say something? Can I say something? And then I'm gonna jump off. I was at,
Craig,
I
who are
was
you
at-
with? What club are you with?
I'm with North Lakeland United over in
Thank you.
Lakeland.
Thank you.
So I have children who play rec. I have children that play competitive, and I also coach the U19 males. I was at a game for my daughter this weekend where every field was full and it was rec. I could coach rec with my eyes closed because they kick each other's shins and don't get called a foul. We don't need to do offside rules. She plays in the under 10s. Now, my
That's
opinion is,
brilliant.
just let me keep speaking. My opinion is this, is I've got my U19s competitive who've been playing this for many years, who are now coming to me and saying, this is the second, third game in 3 weeks it's been cancelled.
Now, Craig, stop right there.
Why
were they canceled?
Well, postponed, sorry. But they're saying, why am I paying my fees? Why am I coming to training? Why am I cancelling
I
my
agree.
work schedules for this to happen? Now, they don't understand, and that's why I'm on this call.
I
to
agree.
try and
That's
help
why
them
we're here
understand.
tonight. But
So-
why were your matches canceled, Greg?
No refs. But what I'm
But
saying
why?
is that,
I mean, did
Paul,
the
Paul, that's
assigner not get a
Paul,
ref
that's the
for
Polk-
you?
That's the
No,
Polk County issue with State
this
Cup.
this weekend, so say for example yesterday, right? We were supposed to be playing okay. On Tuesday, I spoke with the coach there and he said, yep, referees are fine. I spoke with them already. On Thursday, Sherry's emailing saying that there's a FC games postponed. Now, what happened between Tuesday and Thursday? That's my issue. Is what happened between Tuesday and Thursday, and it was this. And this is another issue that I have, is that we were supposed to play Lakeland Tropics, which is 20 minutes away from our ground. Okay, that game got postponed because also lack of referees. Now, my opinion is that there are enough parents that go and watch these recreational soccer games. A lot of them can be taught how to watch a throw-in. Who kicks the ball off? It's not their ball. Okay. Who scores the goal? That's their goal. It's not a
Greg,
difficult one
but
to do.
are you
Whereas
suggesting
these guys that have gone through referee training are wasting their time.
you think they
in
can
rec.
handle a 19 and under 9? You think they're ready for a regular, just a
Yeah,
ref doing an
because-
under 10? They're
because
ready
the-
for an under 19 competitive match?
Yeah, because the guy that was on my lines ref with
I
my
don't think
daughter's
so.
under 10 recreation team was at a tournament doing my under 19 centre reffing.
Huh.
So yes, he can. And,
Well,
and-
then that goes back to paying them so much that under 10 rec guy says, I want to do the 19s. Right?
do you know
Then-
I really don't think that payment's got anything to do with it. I think it's a fact that these guys enjoy doing it and they want it and they enjoy getting a bit of money for it. But I also feel that
Well,
the recreation are taken away. I just heard a guy say that
Yeah, I
Tampa's
agree.
just about to start.
I agree.
I think
There's
the
just too much
recreation are
play.
taking away a lot
Yeah.
of the people that are talented individual referees that have worked hard to get where they want to be.
That's
and they're
an
wasting their time.
assumption, but I don't know. But Mike has been saying for years that you can do these rec games with one guy. You really don't
Yeah,
need 4 guys
do.
on the field. But we don't do anything with the ARs. The USA doesn't.
Paul,
Yeah.
it's Kai here. One of the
Oh, I
issues.
recognize your voice, buddy.
One of the issues we're also facing, I've seen this the last 2 weeks. It's with just different leagues and obviously FYSA and tournaments. There is a bidding war out there. That's why you see
Thank you.
referees commit on a Monday to one game, and on Wednesday or Thursday back out and take the highest
Absolutely.
bidder. That is happening, and it will continue to happen. Okay.
Does that mean
And
you're not going to put a moratorium on affiliating tournaments and leagues?
Listen, how do you know what goes underneath the table? How do you know what Disney's going to give to somebody?
I'm just
Yeah,
going by
that's
what's gone
not.
down the last 5 years.
That's
Well, I'm
not
just
that's not a solution though, Greg.
We don't
Our
have
solution
enough
is,
people to police. Bottom line is, we need to increase the referee pool. That's the
Yes.
only way to
It's
solve this.
exactly the only way.
That's the only way. That's the only way
Y'all
because
think it's a signer
let
problem.
me say
It's a
something.
referee problem. The clubs,
Dave,
since the
one second.
referees have been taking responsibility away from the clubs to hold a classroom, we do not have the number of referees we do anymore.
Dave,
Right.
one
Used to-
second.
FYSA used to hold the clubs responsible to have at least one class every year and supply
Yes.
the referees for their games. We don't do that anymore, so there is no recruitment.
Okay, I want to say something. Hang on a second. I want to say something. I'm going to take two things. I'm an MLS assigner. MLS, tell all the clubs straight this. If you're missing referee, please train a club line from your coach or from your team, play the game. Second thing is, I totally agree with Kai. We need to increase the referee numbers. If we cannot increase the referee numbers, we are not going to get anywhere.
The problem's just gonna get worse.
It's going to get worse because it is going to hell. Every game is going to missing referee and everybody start complaining. I had it in first place, experienced it this weekend, and every weekend I'm experiencing it. It's
Yeah.
not about the assigners. It's not about schedulers. It's about getting referee numbers increased.
Guys, can I ask a question? I'm new to all this. I just took over presidency at Venice Club, Vesa, down here in Venice. And we had the issue this weekend. So I really have two questions. Number one, what is the process for the club to be notified when they don't have an assigner? If there's somebody, like Kai, you mentioned that somebody gets, they get assigned on a Tuesday and then they back out on a Thursday. What is the process to make sure that we are notified that, hey, this is an issue, so that we can potentially do something about it? And then my second question to that is, what latitude do I have as the president of the club to go find another assigner or go find another center for the game that is about to be canceled? Because the game scenario I had this weekend was I had two games back to back, one at 10 a.m., one at 12. And the 10 a.m. got canceled, but I got covered on the 12, which makes no sense to me. Because
Yes,
the guy I talked to at 12 said, I'd have been more than happy to take the 10 o'clock game if somebody would have called me.
Okay, I'd like to tell you something. Every referee has to put their availability on the system. Okay, they have to put the availability in. We need to be able to see him in there.
That doesn't answer my question, Burke.
Let me-
latitude do I have as the president of the club to fill that empty void?
Okay, whenever you have a club
Well,
assigner,
first
your
of all,
club assigner-
Burke doesn't speak for the league. And let me give you an answer on that. From here on in, that's why we're here tonight. Where we have problems like that, we're going to specifically have to say to you, if you're missing referees, we need to know about it sooner. That's the first thing we need to know. And that has to be soon enough for you to go out and say, I can cover it. And
Well,
that
then why
hasn't
we
been
fix
done
the
because
GOT Sports
look,
system
before
so we
the-
get notified then when a
That's
game's
this
not
is
covered.
the first year we have had what I would consider about a lot of, and a lot meaning maybe 10% of our games missed, referees not showing up. We've been doing this for 20 some odd years. We've never had this issue, but we do now. And this issue isn't going to go away. So either we get at it, this is just a start. What, Neil?
Who's being held accountable for this? Is
For
it the
what?
assigner? Who's being held accountable for referees not showing up? Is it the assigner? Is it the club for not getting enough referees? Is it the
Well,
club for
Neil.
not holding the assigner responsible?
Neil,
Well,
look, out west, they don't have any water right now, correct? Now, the solution is it needs to rain. But that doesn't get, in other words,
But
the
can
problem,
we-
we know what the
can-
problem is. We need more rain. We know what the
Can-
problem is here. We need more refs. That's
Can
not
we-
the issue. Tonight,
But what-
we've got
but
to
can
come up
we-
with something that,
At-
to make
at-
it, other than saying we need more refs.
At what
That's
age,
useless
at
for
what
us.
age would we be happy just to have a center?
That good, Mike. I mean, that's the first question. Can we, like 11s and 12s. If we have a problem, can we move the clubs into getting those centers rather than our assigners? You see what I'm saying, Mike? That's what you've been after me about for years.
Can I ask you a question?
Take
What
the money.
How about if we, going back to this gentleman who's the president of his club, if we would have known this weekend, if we could have made the choice, I could have provided, ours was an away game, I could have provided a referee, a centre ref from my club and played at home.
So he needed to get to you by Wednesday, say, or Tuesday, right? He needs to get to you. So he needs to know on the previous week that he can't cover that match.
Yeah, which is fine. But what I'm saying is we
now-
found out on the Thursday for
Yeah.
the Saturday's game. What I'm suggesting,
just to tell you, many times I've seen at least 20 times this season, we found out on, we, meaning the league, has found out on Wednesday, the Wednesday before the match, that the refs weren't going to show. We didn't have.
Yeah, that's fine. That's not what I'm asking.
And that's not any good. Though. That doesn't work for us.
Let me ask the
Paul,
question.
can I say something?
So my question is, right?
Well, let this guy go.
In this example, okay, in this example, I'm sure a lot of the other coaches can agree with me. If we get cancelled on Thursday for a Saturday's game, and it's an away game or even a home game, can we provide our own centre referees if it's approved by the opponent? Because we can provide our own referees. Like, for example, I didn't know this, and I could have provided our own referee and said to our opposition and said, listen, instead of us coming to you, you come to us.
I get it.
And we'll provide the referee.
If you can bring your own refs, that would certainly help. Except, let me explain, for 25 years, meaning this league has always assigned centrally so as to have the appearance that the center ref is
non-biased,
neutral, non-biased. Now,
but if
those days may be over, because the
Yeah.
question is now either you have a ref or you don't, biased or
Yeah.
unbiased.
Either we play the game or we don't play the game. I
Yes,
think
that's
I think
my
going
point.
forward.
That's
these
why
next
we're
few
here
weeks,
now.
Yeah, is we either play the games and the boys get to play what they're
Yes,
paid for,
yes,
or we
yes.
don't play the games.
Yes.
And I think the biggest question is, can we organise when somebody lets us down? Can we organise our own referees? And if the case changes, change the actual location for home
But
and away.
Craig, let me
Let me
ask you
explain
this.
something.
Can I jump in for half a second
You've
here
got
because
you've
this will
got
go.
thousands
I'll
of games,
give
Craig.
me 1 second, because in general I just got on Marcus Brock from Bartow. So actually it was North Lakeland that was coming to my field. I had sidelines for that game.
Right.
So I had referees already for the game for sidelines. The center was not assigned. And that's basically the same thing for most. In general, we're talking about clubs and everything. It's my thing of is a lot of your clubs, we're having the sidelines ready, but then all of a sudden there's no center.
Let me ask you something.
And
I
Les.
agree with
Then
Mark on
use
that.
the system so we can
That's the point I
see
was gonna
that.
make early.
Well, first of all, if you had known, by what time would you had to have known so you could get a center out of Bartow, so you could
Yeah, so
grab a center and have it?
Tuesday when
Okay.
my coach, because I hadn't put it in the system yet.
Okay.
Tuesday when I had talked to my coach saying, yes, I've got sidelines, we're ready to go.
So
And that's when my coach talked
would
to his
we
the
all
opponent coach.
admit that the first problem, the start of the issue is we've got to know sooner or as soon as possible that the center is not going to make it or not assigned.
Paul,
Then we go
Paul,
to the next issue, right? The next
Paul,
issue
can I-
is can Les, can Bartow, can guys like that get
Can I
a
tell
center
you-
for us? Because
Can I tell you something that happened 2 weeks ago? There were centers assigned who withdrew at the last minute on Thursday and
okay,
Friday
well, we're
morning
screwed.
to do.
When that
to do
happens, Les,
state
we
cup
really
games.
we don't have anything.
To do,
I
to
think
do
you.
state
I
cup
think. I
games.
think the league's got to give us more freedom.
Yeah, I
in,
mean,
in
why?
who we choose. And if we speak to the opposition and the opposition says, yes, you can, in order for us to play, you can provide the referee and we'll have it at your location, then I think that that's okay. And we can tell the league afterwards, this is what's going on. You couldn't provide a referee. We've provided our referee. It was
we get
okay
it.
and approved by the
Look,
opposition. And this was
we
the score.
we would need to change 25 years of protocol, which is why we're here tonight. If we need to, screw it, we will.
But
If
but
that's the only
that's-
thing that's gonna solve this.
that's the only way the problem gonna be solved, Paul,
Paul.
from my point of view.
Okay, Paul, just real quick, I do have to chime in on one thing to make sure that I know this is desperate situation and calls for all kinds of things, but the safeguards still need to be in place. So you got to make sure this individual that you're going to pull in to ref this
Correct.
game
How do we know that?
is a certified referee and has been background checked and has listened. Because here's one scenario. I don't want to go into details because I can't, but there was a situation not too long ago, or maybe out of desperation, a person was used to referee. That individual was not certified, not background checked.
Stop. Are you talking about a center?
I'm talking about, I'm talking about a situation that didn't
Because
happen.
we
with US
we
This
do
happened-
have Kai, club, we have club.
I know,
Wow.
wait,
Club
wait, wait.
assigner, we have
Paul,
club assigner.
Paul,
No.
let Kai finish. Let Kai finish.
Let me finish it. I'm not talking about the USA League. I'm talking about if we allow freedom for clubs just to pull in referees.
Correct.
What I'm talking about, there was a situation.
Yeah, I get it.
This inflow. Let me finish, Paul. There was nothing to do with the USA League. It was another league.
No,
somewhere
no,
else.
I get it. We're
So
gonna,
it
we're
was,
gonna put us in
listen,
the
so
ringer.
wait. So this person, a random person was brought in to referee a game. And that person then, let me just, I can't go too many details, but let's say it was a safe sport violation and the police was involved.
All right.
So
Well,
you need to
well,
make
yes.
sure that, look, I don't care how desperate the situation is. The protection of our children, the kids that play the game and everyone involved is still number one priority. You have to make sure that you are bringing in a referee in that is certified, has
So-
passed
so
the
Kai-
background
But
check.
that's why you
Kai,
use, that's
if
what, but to solve that problem, you use a club assigner, not just anybody in the
Well,
club. to
not
assign
only
a
that,
referee.
I mean, look, you make that part of the deal. You say you can, then now the clubs can grab somebody if they know in time in a center, but they have to be fill in the blank. They have to have the safe sport certification. They have to have all those certifications.
Yeah.
If they don't, you can't use them. I mean, that should be easy enough to put in anything. What we're talking about here, Kai, is given that we allow that, then we got to put some restrictions on who can do it, correct?
Yeah, that's what I'm just talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, it's a good
I'm okay
point.
I'm okay for loosening the reins, but you got to keep it the risk management
Yeah,
side.
I don't look, I don't like to do that. I can see right away. I remember, 50 times people saying the ref's a crook. He looks, he's talking to the kids on the team. They're all friends, and so that just tends to make it more worse. But that doesn't matter. We can't live with that anymore because we've come to the point where either you have no game or you have somebody who some of the idiots on the sideline will accuse of being biased, and of course
Well,
that's every match.
Paul, when I think of the club getting free reign, I'm not thinking of me, the president, assigning a referee. Each club should have a referee assigner to assign those referee, not me, the president.
Well, unless you're the ref assigner.
Unless I'm the ref assigner, but
Right.
there must be a ref assigner to each club to assign the referee,
Well-
not just somebody at the club picking a person and put them on the field.
Les, when would you need to know early enough to be able to get a center to your matches?
Yeah, but
Based
Paul,
on
you,
what-
you have, but everybody has two club assigned lines people. So I mean, that's just a matter of moving that person over. If you have to, you can just move one of them into the middle for the, especially for the
But
younger
we can't,
guys,
we
11 to
can't
12.
do it on the club, on the current league rules. Only the league assigner can assign the center.
So that's what I'm saying. We're trying to change.
Yeah,
the
no, but that's what Mike's saying. We say, look, you can use the AR.
No, you'll have to change the rules to say, let the
Yes,
club assign the
yes.
center and the ARs. And the
We,
club
on
as
a
a
selective
referee
basis, we're
assigner.
gonna have to allow certain clubs and whoever it is, under certain restrictive circumstances to get the center. My point is, when do we need to tell the club that their center's not coming?
Paul, if we have it where you and USA has to be the one that has to judge it, But if you have certain areas, you know, you might have 10 clubs that have really good referee assigners
Correct.
that know the referees. And instead of waiting to when do we have to let you know that those clubs, you know, like I don't know my referee signer, but I can do two areas, you know, two, like the Northport and us. And they assign those games, the centers, the ARs, because the centers are all local guys anyway. It doesn't matter if Burke's
Yes,
signing it
yes, yeah.
or my guy's signing it, you know?
No,
So
they generally are, you know.
if you
But the
do
point
that
is,
early,
now
that
you're gonna
relieves some
assign them,
stress off.
Charlie,
That
instead
relieves some
of
stress off.
Tony or
Yes,
Burke
and
or
that relieves some
whoever.
stress off, and they know the local kids that, you know, especially the junior teams, the 17, 16-year-olds can do an under 10, an under 11 game.
It's
You know, they
certain,
know
it's
those
certain.
local guys. And then the other clubs that you don't have the referee assigners or maybe you don't trust them, whatever the case may be, then your other guys take care of those. And with these stress, and I think
Yeah,
the
no,
locals
I
will
agree.
know more. I
So,
think it
so
really
everybody
helps.
thinks that is at least a start. The solution is trying to come
I
up
really
with,
do think so.
loosen up the rules. Hey,
I know for
Tony,
Venice, that
Tony
Venice
Mealy.
game, that we were just talking about, it was my team. And I know the center of the next game, he would have done it. And I had two other ARs. There was
Well,
not
good.
an AR.
That's what we
nothing.
need.
You know,
Tony,
we would have had the
Tony,
game done.
with the software you have right now, Tony, when do you
What?
usually know a center is leaving you?
On my software,
On the software you're using?
they can't leave me without me not knowing it because they have to
Well, that's
let
what I'm
me know.
saying. So when do you find out?
As soon as they can't do the game, I would have to find if they call, if it's a Wednesday, Thursday, I got a call today. The kid tested positive.
That's my point.
Today.
Yeah, we're really in a very tight time frame when that happens, because now we got to get a hold of the club and tell them, hey, you're going to be short. You know, and now it's Thursday or Friday. And say, you can't tell me so late. Well, shit, that's all we knew.
Well, the problem with it too, some of it that I find is more not the actual referee. Sometimes it's either their job.
I got it. I'm not saying they're bad guys.
Oh, well, no, I know. I'm not saying that either. I mean, it happens. Life's life. I mean, sometimes you have to scramble. This morning, I got a phone call from, what's his name? Steve from CDL. A guy pulled out on a 12 and a 130 game at my fields. Said, Tony, I need a center at 12 and an AR at 130. Can you help me out? This is like 10:30. I said, sure, no problem. I'll help you out, see what I can do. Boom, we got it covered. The game's played. The kids are happy. That's all it is.
Yeah, I agree.
I got a question. Paul, can you hear me?
I can.
All right, so I've been listening to all of you guys for a long time about this, and most of you
glad.
have been doing about what's going on here, and I don't feel like we have the same problem right now south here because the 7-8 assigner we have, we work together. But my question is, everybody that plays in a league, a club, don't they have to have a certified assigner to play?
Supposed to, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so why can't we just let them assign? They are doing the same thing as I am doing. Why can't they assign the game and maybe we can assist them or whatever?
But Kai, you understand that is not what we have been doing. So that would, all we got to do now is say, hey, we don't assign games anymore. Bada boom.
Assigner, just because I'm a USA,
It's okay.
That doesn't mean that the club assigner probably know more about the referees that we can put in. We sign one referee, the center referee, not the club assigner. So what's the big deal about a club assigner?
There isn't if you're in trouble. But Kai, for 25 years, we've assigned the centers out of USA.
Yeah, but Paulie, well, let's just change it. Let's just change the rules
Okay.
tonight.
What I'm saying, that's everyone's saying, hey, we just do something else. Good.
You got to have a certified assigner no matter what. The responsibility is still there. It doesn't make a difference. As long as it's certified.
Oh, no, because not everybody can come up with centers, Kai.
No, I'm talking about the assignment. The assignment has to be done by a certified assigner. And we have a protocol we have to follow. So if it's Hugo or Arthur who's doing it, what's the difference?
There is no, as long as it's done, there is no difference.
That's what I'm trying to, I think you. I
Yeah,
think
but your assumption is it's gonna get done, and I know better that it's not gonna get done all the time. Because this is 20 years of looking at thousands, Kai, we got hundreds
Yeah,
and hundreds and
but-
hundreds of games going
But it's
on.
not getting
And
done
we
now,
just
Paul.
don't have a
So-
uniform, your assumption is there's some uniformity in conduct. And
Remember
I'm
what
telling you, that's not the
said earlier,
case.
Paul.
And you can't punish everybody because they're not. The Mikes of the world and the Kais and Les, those clubs, your club, no problem. No problem. It's the other clubs that you're going to play that aren't meeting your assumption. Your assumption
Yeah, but I
doesn't
mean,
work
Paul,
for
I think that-
everybody.
Yeah, I
And
think
so
that we have-
now you got a problem because the club didn't do what they were supposed to because they're incapable of it, which we know they're out there. We've got 40 clubs. You got hundreds
Can
of
I
games.
say
So,
something?
so that's where the problem is. We've got to come up with some solution that works.
Gonna
for
change
you.
something that happened 25 years ago. We can, it's a new era going on, so we gotta come
No,
up.
this is, look, this is up till a year ago. I mean, we did, and I'm glad to do it, Kai, but what I'm saying is you got an assumption there that is not valid, okay?
Yeah, but
It's
Paulie,
good.
Paulie, we've got to do something, Paul. And
Yes,
think that
I
we
agree.
have to take it back to the local. We have to get it
I
back
I
to the
agree.
local clubs.
Mike, I do that in a second. I think it simplifies things.
I think that I totally agree with Mike on that one.
But we
Paul.
still are gonna need, we're still gonna need the Tony Mealy's and the people like that to get centers for some of these clubs who cannot do it
That's
or
fine.
can't do it effectively.
Yes.
So we gotta go from club to club, and that's gonna be Greg talking to each individual club right now and saying, here's the deal. Do you wanna get off of that? Or do you want us trying to centrally assign like we did in the past? If everybody says, no, I'll get off it, you know, as long as it's all right with the board of directors and the members, I don't care. But it's not as simple when you guys get here. When you're looking at trying to move this thing every year, the hundreds and hundreds of different things that go on these games, the simple solutions that some people I hear today don't work. I wish they did.
Paulie,
But
so-
I agree
so
with
just
Mike.
on-
We got to go forward and try and
Yeah,
change
but
it because
Paul,
right now it's a cluster.
Just on Kai's situation, Kai down at Sarasota. New generation plays on the fields that are close to him or even on the same fields as him, but they play in a different league. And they have a different assigner. So if the assigner was local that was working with New Generation and Sarasota, then Kai would have referees covered.
I
even though it's two
agree
different leagues.
for Kai. But Mike, your assumption that every club is going to work that way is not valid. We got to find out the ones that can't work that way and make sure for the rest of us that we have center refs where those games are being played.
But that situation is going to stay the same, Paul, because the outline, the clubs that cannot find their own referees are going to come to us to say we need referees, and we're going to say we can't get referees for you because of where you at.
Well, it may not be where we're at. It may be just a badly organized, president quits and I just took over. I got 700 kids here. I don't know what I'm
But
going
it's
to
the
do.
assigner. The assigner is the responsibility there. It's the assigner's role at the club that he's in charge of.
Where you've got a competent one, Mike, that's a good assumption.
And
But-
Mike,
but
just
I-
to put it in a perspective, that reality is right there with me. Just took over this club. And
Right.
what I found out right away is that we don't have our own assigner. We use Burke because we never had an assigner. So I need to rectify that right away and figure out how can I localize this.
Well, you can continue to use Burke also. That there's nothing wrong with that as long as it's working. But it hasn't worked.
But
You said
that's
you
the
didn't have
problem is,
centers.
but that's the problem is it's not.
Yeah,
Burke is overwhelmed.
I get
Great.
it.
He's awesome at what he does. But, the situation this weekend, I could have solved within half an hour if I actually had the latitude to do that. But I don't have the latitude to do it because I don't have my own assigner.
Now-
You can get
Let
your
me
own
ask you this:
assigner
what is the
if you can find it.
responsibility of FLSRC? What is their responsibility to get referees?
It's not.
It's not.
So,
Come on, Mike.
so my question is, if you guys could tell me an outline of, hey, this is what it takes to get someone as a certified assigner. I'll go find somebody tomorrow, put them through the classes, and I'll get them certified as fast as possible. I just need to know what the steps are.
Go to
Well-
FLSRC and sign up for the course.
FLRSC.
FLSRC.
Yeah, that's the Florida Referee Association.
And
What is
that's
it,
full
Tony?
time.
Is there a course, a signer's course, right, where you get certified?
Do what now?
Tony, is there a course, a certified, a signer's course?
Yeah, it's all online.
Signers have to get certified every year, and I know they had the last assigner course they had was at the AGM, but that's all being done online now, from what I'm understanding. So you can go online, like you said, and register for the course.
But in the interim, if you cannot get an assigner, if you've got refs that are
If you can't get an
certified,
assigner, according to FYSA bylaws, if he just took over the club now and he has no assigner, even if he didn't have one, he doesn't have a club assigner, he can basically be the assigner until the next appropriate class
oh,
from
very good.
Florida State Referees
That's what I'm
comes
thinking.
available.
By the
So
way,
if
I
you-
have a question. One second. If you don't have an assigner, how did you get sanctioned? By FISA, you have to have an assigner.
With their assigner, because he's trying to get centralized is what he's trying
Yeah,
to do.
we hired you, is what I'm
No.
told.
Yeah,
Before me.
There
Burke,
was
you
some
must think
before you.
FYSA actually is looking at any of this stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, listen, I'm new to this. All I want to do is make it right going forward. I don't
Yeah,
want to have
I
games
get it.
canceled.
Well, that's what we're here to do, is to solve this. So, Mike, I'm hearing, let's start working tomorrow morning at getting Greg to everyone in the league and explaining to them that as long as they have certified refs, that they don't need an assigner. If they wish to use the assigner we have for them, because we have some good ones. The guy in our guy in Pinellas County is fantastic. And Vars was really good. Tony's good. I mean, so where we've got it, let's not throw the
yeah, but what you're doing, Paul, is if you're going and doing that, and you got like, there's only 2 clubs I don't assign for in my area anyhow. But the only thing that ever comes into a concern with that is the same thing that's been brought up. What happens is the referees on the game, are they certified? Are they?
I get it.
got-
I get it.
And the problem
and
you have
who's
is now
responsible?
you put USA right out there on to be able, may have a lawsuit against them because the signer put somebody, last minute, didn't have anybody. Yeah, go ahead and cover the game. Didn't bother to check. Always assumed the kid was covered or the gentleman was a signed certified.
Agreed. I agree,
runs
Tony. I
something
think it opens up a Pandora's box, but we are going to say, if you cannot assign a ref unless they have all the certifications and the safe sport
and
certs.
it's still going to happen somewhere.
And
It's still
Tony,
going to happen.
I know, but we can't be at
That's
every
what
field.
I'm worried about.
Yeah.
Tony,
I get it.
Paul, right now, if a center doesn't show up, one of the ARs takes the game.
Do they?
Yes, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So what happened to all the games we didn't have centers show up? Well, why did
Because you
why do we
contacted
have to
James
cancel-
Bowen. Hold on.
Why do we have to cancel the games?
Paul, let me try to explain this. Because I contacted James Bowen, which is a signer at North Lakeland and with Les. James, do you have anybody that can help fill these holes? No, I can barely cover my ARs now. If there's nobody there, there's nobody there. Your local club can't even get it assigned.
Yeah, but that isn't a general through the thousands of games that we conduct. That isn't an operational.
Can
That
I say
doesn't make
what?
any sense.
This
We've
is
got to
Ron
try
from
and
Lake
come up with
Wales.
some way to get a center to most of the matches. Dave,
Can I
most of
say
them.
something from this Ron from Lake Wales? 3
Yeah,
weeks
Ron,
ago,
good.
3 weeks ago, we had an issue where the center was assigned, but he didn't show up. Okay. I'm the director I was at the fields that day. I took my AR1 and we had 2 games back to back at 2 and 4. I took my AR1, put him in the center.
In the center.
I did the club lines And while I was doing the game, I got a hold of the assigner. I said, this is what we need to do. So that contact David so that everything is kind of in order. David Deegan. And then we found another AR for the second game. For the second game. The games continued on. That's what needs to happen. We need USA to say, yes, that's the protocol. That's the
USA
protocol.
doesn't have to say that. That is the protocol. That's how it's written by US Soccer.
Yeah,
But
but
we're
I
also
feel like
talking,
Venice
Dave,
game
about
was no-
knowing, we're also
there was
talking
no
about
game,
knowing before Saturday, when no one shows up, that, hey, you guys are short 2 centers. Can you get them and put them on there?
If we would have known that, we could have made those games happen.
Because
All
if
these games
Ron
that got
wasn't-
rescheduled, we
yes.
could have made that happen. But
The
we don't
problem is
know
that
till
there's-
the day
Again,
before, just like David
But like,
said.
I've contacted Vincent for help and tried to get him to respond. It's like 2 or 3 days later, and you get no response from him.
Yeah.
I've reached
I'll
out
take
to the
care of
local
that.
club level to get help.
Yeah.
And if you don't get a response, you don't get a response. James will
Correct.
tell you,
I'm
I
not-
don't have
I'm not-
anybody.
I just find out about it like yesterday that our games were 2 days ago that our games were being canceled. And I'm like, okay, we've got the centers, but we don't know if we're allowed to assign the center or move them around.
Well, that's what we're talking about tonight, though.
we
We're gonna say go ahead as long as we've got certain, as long
what
as
I wanna
they're
know.
safe sport, certified and,
Well, they've got to be if they're assigned. That's
well, not if they're on the sideline. Could be somebody's parent on the sideline. You say, can you do the center? That's what Kai's talking about. Guy
Well, you
wanders
got-
in the middle of the field saying, oh yeah, I can do this. You know,
You have to
next
make sure
next
that
thing
the
you know,
other
someone's
But
dead
Paul,
and
Paul,
you
if the
know,
referee
nothing.
assigner is assigning them, they should be on the game card and assigned beforehand. All right. The only time where this would happen is if one ref didn't show up, then they'll pull a parent, right? But
Well,
if
what do
the
you,
referee's
Charlie,
trying
do
to
you
let the
just
club,
move your
should be
ARs
assigned
into the center?
Yeah, we have. My home, I have not had a problem, but Venice, there was not one ref. It was all 3 refs were not assigned, not an AR or a center. You know, so you can't pull anybody.
Well, you
So-
heard from the fellow at Venice. I mean, he's just got in
I
there,
understand.
so.
I was there. I mean, I understand. You know, we're not mad at anybody. You know.
No, but it's but that's just my point to Kai from Sarasota is when not every
Right.
situation at every club is squared away. Lake
Right, I
Wales,
get that.
there's
That's
been a
what you
guy
have to
there for
decide.
30 years. He knows what he's doing.
Right,
Les
that's what you have to
does.
decide, you know what I'm
You
saying?
know, I mean,
Paul?
there's some
As
of these
USA, you
clubs.
decide which one's not good, which one is good.
Yeah.
When you guys say this is a good club, this club can do it, that club does it.
Well, that's what I think we got to do right
You know,
now
that's
is
it.
get
That's-
is get Greg out starting tomorrow and saying, hey, what's your situation? And here's what we're seeing. If we know there's not going to be a ref, we'll let you know, and you have a perfect right to assign whoever it is, as long as they're meet our certifications. Does that everybody see that's the immediate thing we can do to help?
I mean, you know, the thing about it, it doesn't make a difference if a USA assigner or assigner for rec, assigner is certified. So they have the responsibility to make sure there's the proper certification for the kids. So the liability for USA shouldn't change because you're still going through a certified assigner. It might not be technically USA assigner. As long as it's a certified assigner, everybody's covered.
Everybody's covered. You're right, Hugo. 100%.
But let me ask you something. When we get to a point where someone isn't a certified assigner and they stick someone in the center, we don't know in Northport, or I'm not even picking out Northport, but I'm saying anywhere, until we talk to them and tell them what we want specifically and have it in black and white. I wouldn't be comfortable because again, we said, well, where did you guys tell everybody? Is there a something in place with USA to allow the clubs to assign a center, and what restrictions do you have? That's all we need. For me, I mean, for my purposes.
Isn't an FYSA rule you have to have an official certified FYSA
Oh,
referee?
Charlie,
So the club does
if FYSA doesn't half the time who they're
No,
billing.
I get that, but if
You
I'm
know.
there, and I'm playing against you, and you put a referee in there that has not that's not official referee, then I'm gonna go to you guys and say they didn't have this game is void. I won.
Well, again, if we've instructed every club that this is the recommendation, this is what you have to put somebody into the center.
Paul, can I intervene for 1 second, Paul? This is Tony Mealy. In the past, if I've ever had a problem with a center not showing up or something like that, I always get a call. Hey, such and such ain't here. Okay, who's there? Find out. And you can ask Neil. Neil and I've done it in the past. Neil says to me, Tony, such and such didn't show up. Or, hey, he's running late. He's not going to make it there on time. No problem. Who we got that we can cover it, Neil? He says, oh, I got John Smith. Okay, no problem. I'll go ahead and put him in the center. That's my approval. If he signed up for USA, I just told him, go ahead, put him in there. Now, I just assigned the kid in the center. Of course, I would go back on the website and change it, but you can't do that anymore with the one we have.
I would think, Tony, that we would be foolish to get rid of a system we have that's working. But where it isn't working, we've got to find that out. You're not, and Dave isn't, and well, what's his name doesn't do it anymore. But wherever we've got issues, though, we've got to tell those guys at the fields, you can do the same. You can get the center, because we can't keep having 10 games every weekend being canceled because there's no ref.
Yeah, but Paul, if we
not your refs, Tony. It's not your centers.
Oh, I know.
But we're here.
Paul, we also got a situation where assigners need to work together themselves to make sure that games are getting covered.
Sure.
That's the biggest thing that he just hit on the nail. Is there's no more communicating with the there's no more communicating between the ref assigners. Very rarely do you have it. I mean, I'll get a call sometimes say, hey, I can't find a ref to cover this game. Can you help me out, Tony? Okay, I'll see what I can do. Okay, the communication needs to be there. If Dave Deegan can't find somebody, call the closest enough to sign it. It's close enough to him. I don't know if it would be me or Bert or whoever, but just go ahead and call, and that way here, maybe we could help out and have a qualified center in there instead of having to take the AR and do it. But that's where it's really lacking, is working with each other. It's not like it used to be many.
Not something we can enforce, Tony. You're absolutely right. Where we don't have problems, we shouldn't make problems. But we've got them. We had too many games canceled in the last 4 weeks, 3 weeks. Now I understand FYSA had a tournament, all of that, but from now on, we've got to come up with a solution that doesn't stop games from being played, period, wherever it is. And Greg will be Greg knows what he's doing. He can call every club and tell them, hey, say, I'm real happy with Tony. We're going to just keep doing what we're doing. We're fine. But the other ones that say, hey, if I don't have something, I need to say, okay, you got the permission to do it. Here are the we'll send you the requirements USA has, just so we're covered,
Well, we have to make sure we have that name of that active assigner on the club information piece in Got Sport.
Yeah. Well, if they don't have one, then the club president, like the guy at Venice, doesn't have one, so he's got to do it.
Well, he's got to put his name.
The alternative is not.
That's fine, but as long as he has his name there, so we know who to contact.
Well, that's your job. I mean, that's where that's what we're gonna know. We're gonna know by the time we're done with this, Greg. You're gonna know where every club stands on this referee thing, and what we're doing to make sure that we've got centers.
Greg, this is Sherry. The majority of the clubs, when they filled out their club affiliation form, provided that, and it's on the USA website under the member clubs page. So we have most of that information. I'm not going to say every single club, but the majority.
Okay. Well, I would probably venture to guess that where we're missing referees are in those areas where we don't have that information.
Well, we know that's supposition.
I can't say that. You just have to look on the website.
That's supposition.
and it definitely lists the president, so I'm sure you could reach out to them and get
Yeah,
the name.
right.
Yeah, I mean, we've just got to have a line of communication and tell them, look, we got some instability right now with the referee situation. And here is how you're going to handle it. We'll tell you as soon as we know there's not a ref coming, we will let you know the second we know. And if it comes to pass that you show up and there's no ref, you have a perfect right. And we want you to take somebody and put them on the center as long as they're qualified.
Paul, one last thing, got question here is that the fix to this problem obviously is the increased referee pool.
Correct.
What about a league-wide effort to call for action for recruiting and a little marketing plan?
Hi,
Because
you've been
that
on
is-
this board. You've been on this board for years. Every single year we go into it and say, what can we do? And we were willing to spend money. This year we took $25,000 and put it in there and said, we've got a guy that's going to go to every club. He will talk to parents. He will talk to kids. He will hold and Merritt passed away. Boom. So we're willing to do it, but I'm just not going to, we've got to have somebody of merits to do what we were talking about. That was the perfect guy at the perfect time. So we have done it, but calling for it, Kai, is just playing with yourself. I mean, it really has absolutely no teeth. It does no good. Cajoling people does no good. We've got to actually have some action plan that is backed up by money or activity to say, here's the guy that's going to do this, and he's going to take this, and he's going to go to the clubs, because the problem is at the clubs. We know that. But we've got 50 of them or 40 of them, whatever we got, and every one of them is in a different situation.
Paul,
Some clubs are so big, like Braden River. I mean, they can't get enough refs. You know, I mean, it's just, right?
Paul,
Mike's group is in good shape, but
I know. Like my team got a mass email from you guys about a game not having a referee, right? So I know you guys are able to do it. For the older teams, you get like the 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old teams. How about send an email out saying, like, I don't know if you guys are willing to do it, but that, hey, if you sign up to be a referee, we will buy you a referee uniform. Like give an incentive. Maybe these kids don't even know it, and their clubs aren't telling them. But maybe they get a personal email. Maybe you might get 10 kids, 15 kids.
do we have those kind of? Do we have the Sherry? Do we have all the older kids? Well, first of all, Charlie, we're gonna have to get the clubs to buy the uniform, not us, because we would get a request for about 6,000 uniforms.
Yeah.
And we'd have like 6 refs.
Yeah, I don't know how it worked, but put an incentive in there.
No, it's a good idea.
USA
and Charlie, we had
NYC
Merritt. We were paying Merritt to go from club to club. I mean, we were willing to do anything we can. We still are. But
Paulie, but that goes back to the same thing. If we are willing to do that and promote it and get our players to become part of the USA League, then they should be USA referees and not become part of the mass. I'll go wherever they pay the most money.
Well, can we get them to sign a contract that if they did a contract, we'll sue them? What do you think? I mean, you can't enforce that. Like, that's a problem. I can't see enforcing that.
I will tell you something. If you find a referee willing to sign a contract for working for the USA League, we'll see if we can find any.
Yeah, I agree.
Burke, it starts with you, Berkey, baby.
Yeah.
Oh no.
We're gonna give them all. We're gonna give them all $1,000 to just ref for us. We can only do that for 3 years, though. That's all the money we got.
Hey, Kathy, what do you think about that? Legally.
Contract? Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't. It's 1099.
Come on.
You can't do
Silly.
that.
It's silly to even think about it because we can't keep track of it. We can't keep track of the games here. Never mind every kid that gets a uniform from us.
Well, it's
a good incentive. I get it, Charlie. I think Charlie's right. I think it's a great thing. We send an email out.
You get an assigner in place like you're supposed to. Every year you have to reaffiliate with FYSA. Then you start educating these assigners, and the assigners talk with one another. I mean, we run a huge rec program. We're Monday through Thursday. We play games during the week, play games all day Saturday. We're mentoring a lot of referees. We have 1,300 games a week. I mean, and then Hugo is our field assigner. I don't know how in the hell he manages it, but he's the field assigner. He works with our competitive assigner, and I mean, Arthur, and they're on the same page. So back a couple of comments back is everybody working together to get it done. But also you have to have referees that are loyal. That's how these tournaments are doing it. They're putting the referees up.
But Kathy, you guys, again, your club among the other 10, 12 that we have here are not a good example of how to do that, because you guys are well organized. You've got good people every year. That's, you know,
entire credit. Let me tell you something. Hugo's been doing this for years. He's a high school assigner. You need to talk to him one-on-one on the phone. I bet you he would have some solutions. 100%.
if he had one, please let us know, because again, you guys are extraordinary. Mike's club, Charlie's club, Les's club, they're all well organized. They're not the issue for anything.
But you, in those cases you're talking about, Paul, you have the assigner setting the schedule. So it works in the assigner's favor. Let's talk about he makes the schedule back to back. 2 weeks ago, he had games at the same time. He could have had them back to back, but he decided to play at 12 o'clock. That's six referees versus needing 3.
Well,
agreed. We've never forced people.
We had games back to back.
They've been able to make their own
We had a
schedules.
couple situation a couple weeks ago where the coach canceled the game, and I sent Sherry an email that they cannot cancel a game without my permission, because then it throws off the schedule. And that's what occurred with that situation. That wasn't a schedule I made, and it showed up that way. The coach canceled the game intentionally without letting me know about it.
Okay, understood.
Well, you know, and I think that I'll go back to Kai, what Kai said earlier. FSPL, one of the top leagues in the state, run by FYSA, struggle to get referees. It is diabolical that they have to face that situation. So if they are having it at that level, we have to find a solution for this deal, for how we use referees and how
why don't we, Mike, why don't we
to
do
see
whatever
3
they're doing?
referees at under 11 and under 12 game. I think that, you know, when we have enough, we can do it. But when we don't have enough, having 3 people on a line makes no sense.
Yeah, I think right now the 9s and 10s get assigned by the local guy, and maybe we'll look at getting the 11s and 12s the same way, that they're sent their club centers.
And then also 11 to 12. Why do we need 3 referees? Just put 1. It's gonna come down to it that 11 and 12 only 1 referee. Below 12 only 1 referee. We can have the other 2 extra above U13 and then U19s.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I think that's Mike has been after me for 7 years to do the same thing. Now we didn't have this, but now we got a problem, and I get, you know, what he said to me is that everywhere in the world, they got 1 guy in the center for kids under, 11 years old, 10 years old. And he's right. But we've got to install it. Now we've got to make that part of our thing, is that now these 9s, 10s, 11s, and 12s are all going to be assigned, are all going to be club refs.
You know, Paul, I was talking to a team that went to Rags a couple of weeks ago, U12. And, you know, a big tournament like that, 1 center referee. That's all they used.
Well, look, as long as that's the norm, I'm fine with that.
But I think
Because-
don't take it away from a club. If a club has enough referees and they want to put kids on
Yeah,
11,
I get it. It's good training.
take that away from them.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you
it's
don't
good
have
training.
enough, it's okay to have 1 referee. But if you do have enough, let them put them on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're paying for it, so it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. If we have enough referees, I'm totally willing to put the 3. If we don't have it, just put 1, and everybody should know about this.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So, so we don't need to start bidding, getting a bidding war, huh?
So Paul, we
Well,
need to make
the
a,
bonus, guys, just so you know how the bonus, quote unquote, came about for the games, is John Bauman with FLSRC was trying to get the games pay on board where they were for the level of games. For State Cup, they were paying just as much for USA games when those games are at a higher level. So they couldn't change the game fees, so they gave them a bonus to get the game fees where they should be. It wasn't to entice them to come. It was to get the game fees where they should have been.
It's immaterial whether you think that. It really doesn't matter. Whatever the reason is, if we need to up the fees to get the refs, then that's what, if our members are into it, I don't care. But I'm saying as long as our board of directors and things said, hey, you've got to match anybody else's centers, in other words, in order to get them. If that is in fact a good strategy, then we'll do it. I mean, as long
I
as
think it would help because you have Florida Club League that's paying 90, 60, 60, I believe, and Bert can double check that and correct me if I'm wrong, but 90, 60, 60 for U17 and up.
I don't think the ARs matter either because they're going to be there anyway. It's the centers that we're concerned about paying.
David, what league is that, David?
Florida Club League.
Yeah, and I agree, David. I think that's. I mean, anybody that tells you that it doesn't matter what you pay is doesn't live in a. I mean, maybe in a socialist country, but not here. Now,
Paul,
everywhere
1
else
second.
in the world, refs in Europe, it's a whole different thing. Here, you get what you pay for.
Okay, I'd like to say something. Florida is the 5th biggest state, has a referee pool. Texas, Florida, California. Just this weekend, MLS next, Texas, we have to reschedule 49 games. MLS next, highest level of the league. So when we come down to it, we do not have enough referees all nationwide. It's not just in Florida. It's not in Tampa. It's not in just Sarasota.
Oh, yes,
all nationwide.
agreed.
I am in
Agreed.
every state.
But Burke, it's the same. It's just what I said before. We know the solution to the drought out west is rain. We know the solution to our problem is more referees. But where we are right now today, we can't do anything about that. We have tried. USA has done everything, has offered money, has come with, we've gotten people to do it. I mean, anything we have offered to do to put money where we needed to, if it actually worked, we've done. So that's all we can do, as a league. No other league is doing anything. So, I mean, it's like and we're pissing in the ocean doing that because if all of us don't push to protect, to stop harassment, to get the referees more respected by the coaches, I mean, all those things need to happen simultaneously, and I don't see any of them going on right now. I mean, you still hear guys screaming and yelling, and the morons on the sidelines screaming and yelling at people, don't even know the rules. So the incentive for a 17-year-old kid to listen to that nonsense is just not there.
And that's what
unless you're going to pay him $150, then well, maybe it's worth it, right?
We were told that today. We talked to a 17-year-old kid who's playing soccer. He happened to stop by the table, and he was asking questions. We asked him if he wanted to be a referee. He goes, "No, I don't want to get yelled by the parents."
Yeah. They're kids who were raised not to be disrespectful to adults, and there are 25 adults on the sideline screaming and cursing at them, and they don't know what to do about it, and I don't blame them. So that respect for the referees, more referees, I mean, all those things are all, but that doesn't do us any good here. That's the same crap we always listen to. We've been saying that for 20 years. We're trying to come up with an actual strategy here to make sure our games get played.
All right, Paul, now we've been talking for a long time about, and everybody has pretty much the same feeling. What are we going to do starting tomorrow?
Well, I gotta go to work tomorrow, Kai, so that'll be the first thing I'm
First of
gonna
all,
do.
you have to call me Hugo. You can't call me Kai.
Oh, I'm sorry, Hugo. I'm sorry, Hugo. But listen, tomorrow we get to, Greg is the start of this. Greg is the one guy in this whole thing that really can make a difference, because he's works with us at USA. He's been at this for 30 years. He knows the problems of the referees, and he's been in touch with most of the ref assigners and can get in touch with anybody, anybody that is at any club. So tomorrow we start. The first thing we do is communicate with every single club and look and see if there is a problem. If not, then continue to do it. If they haven't had any problems with refs and don't anticipate any, then we stay with a good system we've got now with an assigner. Where it isn't, you're letting these people know that if they don't have a center, and we know it ahead of time, it is fine for you to assign it. And where you got Venice, and there's probably 10 other guys like that, telling them, look, you may have to grab somebody to do a center. They just got to be certified, and we will send you exactly what they need as a ref. And if they're not, you can't do it. Okay, you are, and period. So we start right there. It may take a week and a half, may take 2 weeks, but in 2 weeks we should have the information back to say, here are the problem places, because we don't even know. My question was, where are the problems? They seem to be geographically, they seem to be in certain areas geographically, and B seems to be certain clubs. So let's identify what the problem is. We're always going off trying to solve problems. We don't know what the facts are, and that's the first thing we've got to get is who is having problems getting refs. I've seen 5 or 6 emails that from clubs today that said, here's the games we've missed and were canceled. Boom, 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 boom. Another one, boom, 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 boom. Well, we've got to stop that. So wherever that is, we've got to come up with a solution so that we can play the matches.
Well, one of the solution, Paul, might be helpful is if we fix the GOT sports system to where the club, hold on, listen, please, just let me finish, to where the club assigners can see the system inside and what's been assigned.
David, there's a guy that we've been working with at GOT Sport. Now, first of all, let me start.
Dave doesn't answer emails anymore.
If GOT Sport, if this were a business, whoever got this software would have been fired months ago. This is the most incompetent, half-ass rollout I've ever seen of anything I've ever seen. But we don't have a choice, Dave. Now we can go to other systems. I know
it's not about the system, Paul. It's about having the club assigners have access to that system. Certain assigners can see it and certain assigners can't.
Well,
everybody
and David,
needs to be able to see that system.
But why is that? Why can they not see it?
Ask James. James can't get in the system, can't see games, can't see referees, can't see nothing. He's addressed it with Sherry and Dave and has gotten no answers.
Well, Sherry, look, let me explain. Sherry is not GOT Sport. We've been working.
But Sherry's been helping us with Dave, and Dave doesn't answer the emails anymore. He stopped like a month and a half ago.
Okay, I thought he was going to be on tonight, actually. And
that
apparently,
helps with the problem because like Jason and Auburndale can see the system.
Right.
He sees when I don't have one or I'm struggling to get one and people keep declining the game and says, David, hey, I got this person that might be able to do this game. You only put them in.
I know.
Having them able to see what's going on.
Yeah,
I
don't, that's something I can't solve immediately. All we can do is continue. We know that the system is not good for the referees. It's bad. In fact, Hugo pointed out that he had to sort through like 750 names to find somebody to referee because they weren't in alphabetical order. Now,
no, they're not in alphabetical order.
Maybe we got that straightened out, but now we need access, and I can't tell you that in one way, shape, or form that we can force that. This is GOT Sport is a problem that is way above our level, all we do is bitch about it. And like I said, the guys that authorized this, whoever it was, should be fired immediately, because it's the most incompetent, half-ass rollout of anything I've ever seen. It's created more time and effort, for nothing.
Well, I've talked to some people in FYZ, and everybody have to understand, and Kai might be on this. The way I understand that, Sport has a 7-year contract with FYZ. And the bottom line, I don't care how you look at it, the registration between FYZ and the club, it's much better with this system than before, that part. But they were never made for their signer. And here's the bottom line. A signer program out there, you have to pay for it. This is kind of free. So are we first in the picking order, or are we second in the picking order? Between the club and FYZ, always going to be a first order. Like everybody else, a signer. We have tried to contact, tried to fix. I talked to Greg in a link the other day. I don't want to talk about Godsport. I wasn't going to talk about Godsport tonight, but that system there is not meant for us. Maybe one day, yes, but right now, absolutely the worst system to ever come up for a signer.
Yeah, well, that's David's point, I think, is that guys can't even get into it,
Well, and we know the
can't
problem.
even see it.
And here's the funny part. You can assign, use one name. His name is Rico. And I go in, sure enough, I found out this week that there's a way of finding, instead of going through 750 referee, I can go into Control V and I can find Rico.
Right. You can actually go in and do it.
Right?
Yeah, but there was nobody. I mean, Greg figured that out finally, but I'm saying.
Greg told me that. So the funny part about it, I signed Rico to a game, and then he calls me up and says, Hugo, I don't get an email. I go back in the system. Sure enough, Rico is further down on that 750 list. And that's several referees there, but I'm not here to talk about God's sport.
Oh, no, but it's been a problem. I mean, David's right. It's an issue. I can't solve it. We just constantly are pushing at them to solve it for us, but it's we don't have. I don't have control. If they were under me, if their contract was under me, it had been done, or they'd be gone. They would have been gone 3-4 months ago.
So I want to bring this up, and I'm probably not the wrong thing. Greg, are you on here?
Yeah.
Okay, so I talked to Greg at length about our reporting system, and I'm going to give you an example. This morning before I went to work, I went into the scoring input from yesterday's game at USA. So we had 46 games, and 6 of them was reported the score. Maybe tonight is more, but anyway. So here's the thing that I don't understand. I'm going to bring it up here to everybody here. We have to put, and that's the old God Sport, God Soccer, we have to put the center referee on God Soccer. Now we have to do it on God Sport. That is useless program. So here's my thing about it. After, we're still going to follow the protocol that's set up by USA. It's on the website, what they have to do before, what they have to do after. Now, we know the event code, we know the ID to go put in scoring input. So when you do that, this you can put in red card, yellow card. It's a comment box. You can put a fugable strunk, all that stuff you can put in there. And then at the end, you can upload the game card. On the game card, it's going to be the roster, the score, the 3 referees or 1 referee, signed by both coaches, upload that. Why do we have to put Hugo Sorensen in God Sport? And I talked to Greg about it. Like, it doesn't make sense why we're using God Sport for other than scheduling. Forget the schedule, that's fine, but using it for referee, it doesn't make sense because everything is in when the referee report the score input. Everything that is needed for you, the league, is there for liability, score, whatever, everything there. Nobody else is using God Sport for assigning a referee. Nobody. So why are we using it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't.
Absolutely not. It doesn't, because right now, like I told you, you use.
So we need an alternative for every single person, all 40 of the assigners. We need an alternative software that somebody can get us that will work for all 40 people.
Well, yeah, you have it.
Okay, good.
When the referees put in the scoring inputs, everything is in there.
Well, didn't you talk about you can backload that so that we know we got the red cards and
So why do
I mean, the
have to-
biggest thing for us is really the red card
It's there too.
and the supplementals. You
If
know.
you're a supplement, you got to fax it in anyway. So what I'm saying is that if everything is in scoring input on God Sport, everything is there. Why do we have to fax USA the same game card that already uploaded into God Sport? I don't
I
get
don't
it.
know. I don't know, Hugo. I mean, that's beyond my pay grade. David, what are you using? Are you using Godsport?
For USA, yeah, because we've been required to use the system.
Would
That
you
was-
use
that-
another system? Would you use a better system if you could?
Heck yeah.
Okay.
I like to use game officials, and then it's much more better. And I don't have to go with the Godsport bullshit.
Who's that, Burke?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So Burke, so you'd like
am
another
using-
one? You think there's another one too that's better? Are you all agreed on a
I use-
software?
Yeah, I use game officials for every game other than USA games.
Are all the officials listed in that software that we can use
Yes.
that are available?
Yes and
Yes.
no. They're not listed, but it's easily for them to get in it and to join whatever group they need to join.
Well, here's the thing about it. The bottom line is that I can sit here with an Excel spreadsheet and sign referee. The first thing I'm going to make sure they're all certified, all the requirements, because I'm a certified assigner. The referee goes out to the game to do all the, let's say I'm using Excel spreadsheet. It doesn't make a difference what program you have it. The end result.
Let me ask you something. Does the software we're talking about do that for you, Hugo?
Well, I'm trying two different stuff. I'm going to try the one that Burke has. I have another one I'm trying out, but it doesn't really make a difference. What I'm asking USA is that what do you require from us when we assign referee? At the end of the day, what do you require us? And the way I understand, I had a lengthy talk with Greg, is that you need to have some type of report, all that stuff. All that is done in Godsport. So a signer doesn't have to go into very simple. It's so simple. Almost a blind person can do it. But anyway, it's so simple. You just go into scoring input, you enter the score. Like I said.
So are you saying that the reporting
yes,
and
reporting
the assigning could be two separate sets of software?
Yes, it could be an Excel spreadsheet. As long as you get the report and it's uploaded, we as a signer, the club assigner, USA assigner, have to make sure that we go into scoring input. We have the ID, we got the event ID. I went in for the game last night. We had 3 games down here in Fort Myers. I went in
All
there,
right.
almost there.
All right. Let me talk to Greg tomorrow because Greg really understands. He's the one guy right now that we got that understands all of this or most of it. And we'll start tomorrow morning and straighten out what we can. But we all agree that we got to be a little more flexible as for clubs to be able to get the centers to get the games played that don't
My
get
thing
us
is
up.
that if Mike wants to use Godsport, God bless him, let him use it. If you don't want to use Excel spreadsheet, God bless him, let him use it. As long as we have certified referee, all the requirement, and how to report it. That's the
I
bottom.
agree. I really, we don't care. I mean,
Absolutely agree.
You know,
To tell you the truth, last weekend I didn't use Godsport to assign the referee, but I made him go in to do the game report and all that stuff in Godsport. But I
okay,
didn't-
I'm starting to understand. So the game report you can do in Godsport and it'll have no relationship to the assigning.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Dave, does that make sense to you?
Yes.
How about is Neil still on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Does that make sense to you, Neil?
I have no idea how to enter a game report in Godsport. No one has sent me any information. I didn't even know it was there.
When you look at your game card,
That precludes the fact that the game card is generated, which in some instances it's kind of not generated.
Well, Sherry sent out the information about the event ID, and I put it on. I have it in my email. I remind all the referee after the game if I see they haven't entered the score or upload. No, I just started this weekend, so give me a little break on that part. But the system is set up for a referee. All they have to go into system.godsport.com, takes him right into the scoring input, fill out his information, red card, yellow card.
I never received that information, and based on some things people have said in the past, I think that the USA assigners for centers have gotten information, and some of it hasn't trickled down to the local assigners. That's my gut. That's my gut. Because I have not.
How do they enter a score then? That's the only way you can enter.
No. I don't know. They're faxing it in, or they're sending a snapshot in.
So they are not entering the score.
They're not faxing it to us. I don't think we don't have a fax.
Okay, well then they're sending it in they're taking a picture of it and they're sending it in.
Yeah, but the score is not entered.
Someone send me the information, because Gotsport is very condescending and they don't reply to anything anymore.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah,
So,
hey Neil, I'm going to send you an email, Neil.
Okay.
This coming Wednesday is the last Scott Sport question and answer, and I thought you would have been on one of the previous ones, but I guess you didn't get that.
No, I saw that.
Okay. Well, that's where you
But
get
not
your
everybody can take a Wednesday night and
well,
listen.
that's where the answers are coming from, though. That's where they're giving good answers.
Well, but if someone gets an answer, Greg, then we can write that down and send it to everybody. Say, here's the answer the guy gave us.
Listen, this what I'm talking about is not a problem. It's an information that was sent out by Sherry to make sure that all the referee entered the following information in the following steps. So
I never got that.
Okay, so Sherry has to send it out. So
I'll reach out to Sherry on that.
yeah, so that's probably why this morning out of 46 games, only 6 was reported. Well, 3 was from Lee County because I was on their ass making sure it was reported. But somehow we always were able in Gus, we were required as the signer to make sure that the score were entered. So somehow the scores has to be entered by somebody. If the referee doesn't do it, who entered the score?
Home team can do that. Anybody can enter the score as long as they have an event ID and PIN number.
If the game card has to be uploaded by the referee. Not anybody has the game card.
Well, yeah, I know, but home team has to have a game card, and they have 3 copies. Somebody is entering the scores other than the referee.
You talk about the game report. The game card is different. The game report is totally different than game card. Game card is everything. Game report has the name and then the referee signature on the bottom. That's about it.
That game report does not have the roster.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So the most important to be uploaded to the system is the game card, because they have the roster, the referees, score, signature by both teams that the score is correct is uploaded. So if Greg get a call from Hugo says, hey, my score was 4-1, he can go straight in there, pull up game number 948. Oh yeah, there's the sign. Oh, that done deal. Simple.
Are you saying the game card has to be uploaded also?
Yes,
It's supposed to be, yes.
Well, Dave, let me make a point. The referee that did our game last week, Saturday, he had no clue what to do with the game card or the game report.
Well, he hasn't got the information.
Did you pay him?
Yeah, he gave us back the thing and says, oh, I don't need this. I said, no, you have to upload that stuff to USA.
And you don't pay him until he uploads it.
Well, I mean, I have to pay him at the beginning before the game starts.
The information's on the 3-part, at least for, sending it in.
He
It's
had no
game
clue what to
officials.
do with. He had no clue. When I hand him the stuff, he said, "Why are you giving me this? Is somebody got a red card?" I said, "No, those are the reports that USA require you to complete and upload."
Okay, I'll talk to him. It's been a while for him to do a USA game, so he might have forgotten. He's been doing other games, so I'll talk to him.
And the score never got posted, so I sent Sherry my copy of the report.
Okay.
If we go back to last year, we have to send in the game card or any supplement to USA. Game card, supplement to USA. The game report, the 3-ply copy, the referee keep one for his record. The other 2 goes to the coaches. That's what this. They are supposed to. We don't deal with the game report. We deal with the game card after the game for USA. So.
And then I had an incident today at Pinellas The
Okay.
coach never brought a game report. And he said, he told the referee didn't need one, all he needed was a game card. And I
Well-
told him, no, there's supposed to be a completed game report. So I had a copy and I gave it to the referee to complete.
The other problem you have with that, Les, and you can't let them get away off the pitch without it, is that if somebody is serving a suspension, the referee has to write that on the game report. And then that gets emailed to us so we know to take him off the suspension list that it was
Exactly.
served. And if they're not gonna, if they can't follow those procedures, we should not be putting them on the pitch.
Yeah, and the clubs need to know that they must bring, if they're the home team, they have to have a game report.
All right, so here's the thing here. And I said it before, I'm gonna say it again. I don't understand why we're using a game report, because here is a game card. All the information that Greg talked about it, if it was anything happened, can be on this game card. So what we're doing, we're just filling out some extra paperwork that everything can be on the game card itself. Roster, injuries, red card, anything can be on the game card. So when we fill out the game report, if it's nothing happened, you know what a game card look like? I mean, game report, it has the two names, two teams, what time they play, and a signature of the referee. That's all they are getting. There's nothing else there. Why can't we just use one piece of paper, upload it, and if it's a red card, goes right into USA and it's being uploaded, USA get the red card. That I've been arguing that for several years while we use it.
If we could trust every official to do the proper paperwork, no problem whatsoever, Hugo. Absolutely no problem. But the problem we have is half of the referees don't even know how to log in and pull a game card or where to send the information to.
So why don't we change it to where the club prints the game card and bring that instead of a report? And then give the game card back to the home team after the game and let them submit the game card. If there's a supplemental needed, they can fax it to the assigner and the assigner gives it to USA. Because the assigner should be making sure that that red card report's legit.
The club does print a game card and give to the referee.
But what I'm saying is have just one game card. And when the games are like you do with FSPL or Sunshine or anything else, that game card goes back to the home team and the home team will submit it to USA. Signed, sealed, delivered, everything.
Well, it's got to get uploaded into Got Sport first.
That would be from the club, is what I'm saying.
Oh,
no.
Lord have mercy.
No, never going to happen, Dave. We need
That's not a good system.
And what if somebody tamper with that game card?
Bad enough the refs and coaches would never get it in.
Yeah, we need a third party that is paid to do that. No club coach or a signer is getting paid enough to do any of that.
Well, not only that, a lot of them wouldn't even know how. They just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the system right now, if we can just do what it says on USA and make sure we as a signer, we have to put some effort behind our games to make sure that the scores are entered and the game card. I mean, I had to call the referee. I only had 3 games yesterday, but I had to call them and say, hey, make sure you upload the game card. It is so simple, but all the information that USA need, it's all on that game card. You don't need anything else.
Can I bring up another issue while I have Dave and here, and this is specific to my games yesterday. The center referee, the ARs did not show up and the center referee took all the money for himself. Is that appropriate?
No, sir, it's not. And
well, the center referee owes my club $100.
Okay, can you send me a report to that and I will send it to FSR so they can do it ethical reasons.
Okay.
Hey, Hugo,
yes.
Here's a question for you. If we go to the local assigner,
yeah,
okay, and we're talking about, we talked about tonight about the local assigners assigning 12 and down centers and ARs, okay? And let's say they have to also assign who knows, a 13 or 14-year-old game because there's a referee not going to be able to make it. How do we know that how does he know to assign a certified referee? if
Well,
he does, if he doesn't use Got Sport, if he doesn't use Got Sport.
No. We as official, we gotta go into FSR to make sure that the
Right.
referee that we use has the requirements. So we have to do some legwork before we sign a referee. God Sport doesn't tell us everything. We still have to use FSR
Yep.
to
Okay,
make sure that.
so-
I
so we-
build my referee. If I see, for example, there's one referee that I know is being used somewhere else in the county, and I call him up. It was not part of my part, but I call him up. I say, hey, listen, his save sport expired January 1st. That's a no-no. I didn't see that in God Sport. I saw that in
Okay, and FSLR.
so,
Right.
so,
So
what
how
I'm
does,
saying,
how does a local assigner know that to go do all that? Do we
They
have to
have-
train every
They
local
should know
assigner?
that they're
They know it. It's part of the certification for our signers.
yes,
Okay,
they have to know that. So he's not going to put Charlie from Pine Island that is a fisherman has never done it. No, they have to follow the same. It doesn't make a difference if you're USA assigner or a club assigner. They both have to follow the
okay.
same.
And the question then is to the club presidents that are taking that responsibility on because they can't find somebody. Do they know to go get certified referees? Or they just fill in the void to schedule ARs and whatever?
Well, let me speak for our area, so I can't speak for other area. Let me tell you this: the certified assigner that we have for the clubs that is playing in USA is more than capable and assigning any of the official that is needed in the game. No, I've been around there for a long time, so they lean a little bit on me, and I help them out a lot. Maybe more leaning will help out a lot, but we work together. And a good example on Friday night, I emailed Sherry. One of the referee had an emergency. I said, I don't know if I can cover the game on Saturday or Sunday, whatever game it was. And I sent her 4 emails every 5 minutes. And after 15 minutes, between 7 assigners down here, got that game covered. So what I'm saying is that there's a partnership between the signers, and we are working on something different that I don't want to talk about it, but we want to try to get into a program that we all in the same program and work together. But that's another subject.
You can do that on game officials. You can do that on referee schedule. You can do.
But here's the thing about it. From my point of view down here, I don't have no problem using any of our club assigners for any of our games that is being played by USA down here. No, well, Hugo, you're giving away some of your duties. Yeah, but we have a good relationship down here, and I still kind of watch. I'm like the grandfather because I've been around this for a while, and they lean on me a lot. But I have no problem using a club assigner. And I'll tell you one thing: if it wasn't because of the club assigner, there would have been games that would never been covered. It's because of they helped me out. Because I'm looking for one, and they have to look for 2. Sometimes, and the advantage I have is that I'm the field assigner for Cape Coral, so I don't make the schedule for a team. I make the schedule for the referee. I make sure that we have games back to back. So when the team says, Hugo, how come you changed it? I make it for the referees. I don't make it for the team. So I got to have a flow. So I've been fortunate in Cape Coral, at least with 37 teams, that when you come down here, I'm not going to guarantee you, but you're going to have 3 referees. But that's because I manipulate the schedule. I make sure that I have the flow. And but going back to what you, Greg, said is that all the club assigners down here in my area is capable of doing it. So if you told me tomorrow all the club assigners here can do the USA, but Hugo's gonna be your mentor kind of thing or whatever you call it, I have no problem with that.
Well, I just want to make sure that if we get to the point, or if you all want to let local assigners take 12 and down, that we make sure that all the local assigners know what's going on, and they're not just in name only because it's the president couldn't find somebody else. Okay.
Yeah, I think Greg, you worry about something that you shouldn't worry about, because all the signer that is doing a signing has been certified by FSR. There is some code of conduct we have to follow. There's things we have to follow. So they're not going to put the fisherman who's not licensed, who just have a fisherman license, on the game.
All right, I'm gonna go online tomorrow, and I will pull everybody that's there as a local assigner, And if I find a club president's name in there for a local assigner, and I know he's not an assigner, then that what you just said is not true. Okay. And I'm worried about the liability. That's what I'm worried about.
Absolutely. So if a club doesn't have a certified signer, that's a whole different ballgame then. But if a club has a certified signer, like the clubs that you have down in Southeast Florida, let them write it. If Lehigh didn't have a certified signer and they have one team, well, you can use Hugo there to get the people out there. That's a whole different ballgame.
I get it. I get it. I get it. We'll find out what happens when I start rattling some trees.
Yeah, I think we just got to make something easier for the signer too. Like I said, the reporting system I think is backward, and I've been saying it for years. And that doesn't mean that I'm right, but I think we can make it easier. And right now we've got sport, as much as I hate it, to report a game is just what we need as a signer or a referee. I mean, even the referees that is learning it now, because they still have a problem in the beginning. Where do I find it? There is it. So it's a learning progress, but somehow the referee has to report the score. So when we fax in a score to Greg or Sherry, how does that get reported? Remember last year, previous year, all the years I've been involved, the referee has to report the score. And what happened after every month? Greg sent us a list, big Excel spreadsheet, missing score, missing score. So we as a signer has to make sure that those referees that a signer that we're using, and we put Hugo Sorensen at the game, you got to make sure that he follow up and put this information on God's sport.
Okay. Did we lose Paul? Did Paul drop? No, he's there. I don't see his picture though.
He's there. He just went to the kitchen.
He's what?
He went to the kitchen.
He went to the kitchen. Must be coffee time. Here he comes. Coffee
Back.
time. Coffee time. Okay.
You guys done?
We were done an hour and a half ago.
Well, all right. So we're going to tell people if they need to, we're going to cut off. We're going to cut the 11s and 12s loose as far as a USA assigner. Yes or no?
As long, I would say yes, as long as I can discern from the list out there that all the local assigners are truly assigners and can get certified referees. You just don't want to willy-nilly tell them that, and we find we have one or two and then have a problem and then end up with a lawsuit.
Well,
Hey, Greg, from my understanding too, if you're a referee assigner, you're under FSR. So if there's going to be any kind of a liability issue, i.e. a lawsuit, they're going to go after that assigner individually, not just US Club. And FSR then is going to have a problem with that assigner. There's great responsibility and liability when you become a referee and go through the course on top of being an assigner. So
I know. Yep, I agree.
So I wouldn't worry about that too much. The presidents that don't have an assigner, if I was a president, which I've been for many years, I wouldn't be assigning a game. I wouldn't want that a liability on me, but I sure would seek out an assigner within 20 miles, 30 miles to help assign my game. It's also my understanding is club presidents can assign games. That's a no-no. So I, as a president, if you come across a club that's a president that needs help with assigning, I mean, map it out, try to get them, you know, the closest assigner to help out, because really they should not be assigning any games.
I agree.
FSR, that's a big no-no, and that could really shut down a club too, as far as FYSA is concerned. That's why protocol.
Greg, so you said 11 and 12. I don't think that's going to resolve anything.
It's not. It's not, because what they're going to do is you're going to have the high quality referees that can do an older age group on those U11s and 12s.
I think since you have the junior season, if a club, if Hugo wants Arthur to do all the signing for 14 and below, and he's certified, why can't I let him do it? What's the difference? He has the whole pool of referees. So what's going to happen is that, just like what David said, we're going to split it. why can't we have one assigner assign all the games to make sure we have the right level? No, U11, 12, if we are short of referee, then we go back to having one referee on those games and make sure that 13 or 14 has 3 referees. That's how-
I think.
I
I'm
agree.
sorry.
I agree. I think that's the smart way to do it.
I think
If
what's
you
gonna
don't have a
happen.
referee assigner, then you stick the way it is. If you have a referee assigner that can do it, let the referee assigners do it. Well, the club referee assigner.
I'm with you on
Well,
that.
I think you're gonna see though, once the senior season basically comes to an end and we're fully into the full-blown junior season, we're gonna have the extra referees, because a lot of the referees that do these U12s and U11 games are basically the ones that are playing in the senior division. At least that's how I know it is with me. I get a lot of referees all of a sudden that can referee now because their season's over. Well, basically over for right now until it picks up at the end again. But I think the problem is going to be help out a little bit, because we'll get a lot more referees that are available again. At least in my case, like I said, and I think it should be in most of the other cases, that they're playing for senior teams right now. And once they get that break, it's going to help us out.
And if everybody recall that the reason we went with this many years ago is because we had some shady referee put on in the games. That might have changed now. So we got to try to go see, let the local assigner be part of it, because they have, I might send one referee out to Lehigh and they maybe have 15 referees out there that the local assigner think it is well worth it, but it's not my referees. So what I'm saying is that we might run into a problem. We don't know that, but let's try something with the junior season, because there's less problem with the junior than with the senior. But if our area wants to use the local assigner and Hugo has on the shoulder to lean on it, more power to it. We get our game covered here, but I feel like the local assigner should be more involved in assigning games for USA. They do it for the other 9 leagues they involve with. If you think about it, we have 10 leagues that plays in Cape Coral. All the other 9 league is being done by Arthur. Hugo just do the center for USA. So you think about it, if we have different league games on the same day, why can't we just give it to one person to take care of the business on that field? Instead of having Hugo coming out to have 2 USA games, we have 15 Florida State Premier League, we have DPL. Arthur does everything else except for that 1-2 USA game. One of it that is local assignment, do them all. If you have capable of doing it, somebody might not have that. Give them the regional assignment, but in the meantime, let the local assignment get involved.
So if the local assigner and the USA assigner both assign a center for a under 11 match, what do we do?
No, I wouldn't assign a game.
No, just have the local assigner do it. Just have the local assigner
Well,
do it.
that's what I'm talking. Either it's got to be one way or the other.
That's fine.
Just have the local assigner do it.
All right.
If it's done on God's part.
So we're agreed that 12s, 11s, 10s, and 9s are all going to be.
Well, can we find out if anybody wants the 13, 14 too? Because that's the junior season.
Yeah, but
I
13
prefer
and 14s
my
are
local guy do it.
they're full. Yeah, but they're full on. I mean, they're full games. You got 11v11 for both of them. So you would, if possible, like to have our assigners get that. But if you don't have what we've determined tonight is you don't have an assigner, then put somebody in the center.
Well, you don't have an assigner, Paul, and then it stays the way it is. But if you have an assigner that does their job and is good,
what I'm hearing tonight is right now we forget about the assigning any USA, any 12s, 11s, 10s, and 9s. We don't do any of it.
I think you shouldn't do any. And the ones that have a referee assigner, the club referee assigner should do.
Well, I mean,
because what's it do?
They don't, or they do. It doesn't matter because they're going to do 9s and 10s either. If they don't have them, they can't do them. So you got the same problem. We still got 9s and 10s that are local. The club assigner assigns those games.
I think, Paul, you're missing the point. The point is that the local.
No, I'm not missing the point, Hugo.
The
I
point is
see,
the
I see
local-
the 1,500 games. What you guys, some of you are seeing very simple solutions to what we see as a very complex problem.
Well, what you have to do too, as a leader of the pack, you got to listen to what we see out here and make a determination what's best for the assigner and the league. So that's where we click in. Sometimes we don't think the same way. You guys can say we want this, but does it really work in real life? Sometimes it doesn't. So if we says that this is the best way we can do it as a group, why shouldn't USA listen to us?
No, here's the thing though, Hugo. USA, we keep thinking about USA. USA has really got two people. That's it. It is impossible for them to monitor all the things that we're talking about tonight. Either we cut loose and don't do that anymore, so we have no more responsibility, or they don't. Sherry's got 800 changes right now. She's got no more time to do anything. And Greg will be up to his eyeballs trying to get in touch with 40 different clubs and trying to find an assigner, which he's not going to find, of course, but he's going to find some.
I talked to Jeff down in Miami, and they've been around as long as you guys have been around. And I talked to him at length about how they do it. And this is how they do it. First of all, they don't use Scott Sport for anything, so that's a whole different ballgame. This is a requirement. The game has to be assigned by a certified referee. I mean, an assigner. They don't care what program the referee use. All that. So there's no responsibility back to anybody else, because as long as you're certified, as long as you have all the requirements, the responsibility, like Kathy said, goes back to the assigner to make sure that whatever he does put on the game is the proper people. No, as an assigner, I can still put a bad referee on the game. It doesn't really make a difference. It's Hugo or Arthur. That comes
Hugo,
from experience.
when we find out by Wednesday that we have 17 clubs that don't have assigners, I'll have Greg call you back and tell you, here, now what do we do? Because that's what the guys we have on tonight are the well-organized. These are the best of the best.
Paul, they don't have enough referee assigner. How are they assigning the ARs right now? Because you assign the
Probably
center.
the president. I mean, my point is, I don't think they all have
but they usually,
qualified assigners. I don't think they're all registered.
But Paul, like Venice said, they don't have one in-house, but they use Burke. So they have a referee assigner. They use Burke. So that in the house club, they don't have them, but they pay somebody to have a referee.
But we're not. But now
So
is Burke going to do the nines? Is Burke going to do the 9s, 10s, 11s, and 12s?
He has to have certified referees.
The club already pays the center, pays the AR. The club gets the ARs, right? The center, the USA gets it. We're having a problem with those centers getting, getting assigned, or that the referee assigner is able to get them because they don't know the local people.
But Charlie, were you not just at Venice this weekend and there were no refs?
But I can tell you, I could have had 3 refs standing there because we know them personally.
My point is, we have now made somebody, Burke's going to do all of that. What if he doesn't do it?
Who?
Who is going to do it?
The referee assigner has to do it.
Okay, so Burke's the referee assigner. He had no refs at the game on Saturday. Who from Venice stepped in to get the ref into the center? Nobody.
But nobody's allowed yet. Nobody's allowed yet. So who?
Correct.
But again, why was there no referee assigned? Why is there no ARs assigned?
Hey, Paul, I have a question. When you said that the 9 and 10 is being done by a club, does that mean USA has clubs that has 9 and 10 that is being done by a club who doesn't have a signer? Who assigned the 9 and 10 for a club who's not?
The club assigns the centers for those matches. We don't.
But how can you have a non-certified? You don't know that. How can you?
Wait a minute. You just said you made an assumption there. You go that I don't attest to. You just said we have we have. I don't know who is in the center of that field. You just made an assumption that I don't make it.
Okay, I read you.
We're assuming we're assuming, Hugo, that the people that are at the club, right, who assign the 9s and 10s, right, have referees in the center of the field who are capable of running a U9 and U10 match, and now 11s and 12s.
It's on the game card. It's no different than any other game. That official
I mean, you
has
know,
to be on the game card.
Now,
Well, if that's the case, why don't you make sure that all the clubs. that
we can't, Hugo, you can't make sure because we've only got one guy could get to one field.
No, what I'm saying is that
We've got 28 this weekend. We have 28 venues.
every club that has participated in USA, if they don't use the regional USA assigner, they have to have a club assigner. Why could
We
you make?
assume so.
Why don't you make that rule?
No, Hugo, we don't know. I don't know that they have a club assigner. They may list one, but I don't know if they're certified. We don't check all 45 of the applications to make sure that the assigner they're listing is up to date on their certification. We don't know that.
Remember what Kathy said, the liability. So if I'm the president of the Cyclone and I put a fisherman as a assigner, I'm as the president of the Cyclone, I'm in trouble if something happens.
Yeah, well, then maybe we shouldn't be doing this because it's too risky.
Yeah. No, but if everybody had if they don't want to have a certified assigner, like a small club that doesn't have rec or anything like that.
You know, Hugo, if everything were, if every club were like yours and Kai's and Charlie's and Les's, then we wouldn't need this discussion at all. We wouldn't even be on the thing.
Why can we work?
There's 40 some odd clubs and not all of them are highly organized or have the same. That assigner could be dead. He could be, they never got assigned this year. He didn't go to the AGM. I mean, it's like, now we assume that there's someone responsible at those fields, right?
I always been taught, even as a firefighter company officer, always try to adjust to what's coming up. Just because the one way we fought fire 20 years ago, we don't fight the fire the same way now. So what I'm saying is that this changes out there. Let's try to make sure everybody understand that this is a system that is working. It's working in.
Yeah. So we're going to extend the system that's working to 11s and 12s. We're going to assume that we have a responsible party at every club. And Greg will be checking with the clubs to see who that is and what they're about, what they're able to do. And that they will be told now, you will be assigning the 11s and 12s center. USA won't be.
And I'll be following it that if you are short of any referees for the 13 and 14.
13s and 14s are going to stay the way they are for the moment.
No, what I'm saying is that if you are short of referee for 13 and 14, that 11 and 12 can have less than 3 people on if you don't have enough referee for the 13 and 14.
They can have as many as they want.
No,
we recommend 2 ARs because it's better control of the game. But we're not going to not have the game played if we don't have the 2 ARs at 9 years old. Right.
Well, I mean, most assigner would do that. They would move AR.
No.
Do it, but the league is not going to.
I'm going to one of these days. You can come over to my house on Monday and Tuesday and see the incredibly insane emails we get every single weekend as to what just happened. And when you assume that everything's going to go smoothly, it doesn't happen that way because this is with 1,500 games played. It's the exception that always screws us up here. And that's what we're trying to cut down on now. We're trying to make it rule. Look, they're going to have referees. We would suggest that they have 3 referees for 11s and 12s and 9s and 10s if possible.
Well, you put 3 on 9s and 10. Come on, Paul.
Well, it's a good, I mean, if they can get them, that's fantastic. They can teach a 10-year-old how to run a line, right? It's a good time to learn. If they want to, they're free to do it.
It's a build-out line for offside. That's kind of silly, that 3.
The whole system is silly. Hugo. youth soccer in this country is silly, but I mean, we're all here. We got to run it.
But anyway, we just got to try to see if we can something, and if it's
I mean, I think the biggest thing is we're going to try and get people to feel free to jump in there and get centers where we haven't had one, so we'll stop having people show up and not having a game. That's really what we're about right now, is trying to avoid what we've seen in the last 5 weeks. It's critically bad for an organization that can't get centers. If you're a league and you ain't got centers at the games. We have never had this in 25 years. That has never been the case, but we're in it right now in the middle of it, and we're trying to kind of work our way out of it. And I think what we got tonight is a pretty good idea or framework to start,
But I don't think you should feel bad about it. Like Burke said, it's a nationwide issue. And
No, I don't. But I don't. I don't feel badly about it. But my nature is to try and solve things if possible. And I realize if we are doing this, I see we're better off. And if it doesn't work, if it falls apart, and we have 10 kids die, then we'll change it.
Hey, Paul, I'd like to say something. Look, for example, for Venice, I'm just giving example. Venice, I never assigned U9, U10s. I never knew about they have U9, U10s. I don't know who assigned them.
But they might not have them.
I don't know. I mean, if I don't know about it, and I never assigned those games. So again,
we just started. We just started, so you may not have seen them yet.
Okay, Kathy said the correct thing. Liability is on me, assigner. If any club assigns any person on the game, if that person is not certified, not safe sport, I'm going to under the bus, not club.
If you have assigned somebody that is unqualified, I would think that if something happens, they're going to come after you, because and you have I'm sure you have an insurance in the assigning thing that's built into that thing.
This is the thing. That's why we check the system, make sure officials are safe sport, background check. If I don't have available officials, if I have no officials, they don't have a safe sport background check in that area, I can't assign him. He can say, "Oh, I'm a registered referee," but I can't assign him. He can tell the club.
I think that
I can't do it.
We have to tell everybody that if the club is going to do more assigning than normal than we have in the past, that the person they assign has to have specific certifications, right? And they got to be the safe sport and the referee certifications. If they don't have them, then they can't do it.
The referee assigner needs the same certification as I have. It's no different. So if you want to be a certified assigner, requirement for USA that anybody that does USA assigning should be certified.
I'm more concerned about having certified refs on the field, Hugo, just so we are covered with somebody who has some knowledge of how to run a game.
Yeah.
I mean,
hey, Burke, you're not assigning centers as a USA assigner for 9s and 10s.
Correct.
That's correct.
But stop, because from what I just heard, Burke is their regular assigner also.
Right.
He is the club assigner.
Right. He's got two hats there. I get it.
He's going to be doing the 9s, 10s, 11s, and 12s if they have teams.
If you all vote to do that.
He will be empowered to do it.
Okay, there you go.
As long as the people that he puts in the center are
certified.
Certified.
Yeah. Okay. We're cool.
Safe sport and the other one.
The liability for a signer is as great. If Arthur starts doing all the game here, he has the same oath that he's sworn to that I have as a signer. So that part, I don't think the league, as long as you say certified assigner,
I'm not overly concerned about being sued. I think we've we have stated what we want, and if someone doesn't do it, we're not there to, we're not cops, we're not on the side of the field.
No, I mean, as long as you
But
put.
if they have, after it, if our lawyer comes up and he said, you told him, I said, here's what we gave him.
And I
Here is the
agree
assignment
with
he
you.
had. Here is the what we told him. If he
If-
didn't do it, I can't help that.
If Venice has a U9 and 10, and they don't have a broadcast.
No, nines and tens have always been done by the club.
By the club.
But they don't have
Always.
to be certified assigner, is that what you're
But
saying?
it's a club assigner, not the club, a club assigner.
Yeah, but
I don't know who the assigner is.
certified?
All I care about is the center. Whoever's doing the assigning, I don't know. I can't know.
So there's
And
no.
Greg is going to start contacting people to get to these clubs and find out. And Sherry said on every application, we have got an assigner's name, right?
We're supposed to, yes.
Yeah, and we probably haven't all of them, but, and the ones we don't, Greg, we'll have to find it, because you're gonna be in touch with, you're gonna be much closer touch with all of these guys to guide us through this, these questions. And then we'll have a lot more answers when we know and say, here's why you can't do that. Here's why this didn't work. But we've got to start something. I mean, we got the cream of the crop as far as decision-making here. You got the best people in the state practically, or at least this part of the state, that's telling us that we've gone through and looked at it all. The idea is, I think the thing is, let's get rid of 9s and 10s and all the 9s, 10s, 11s, and 12s, and that will free up potentially, right, enough referees to get the 13s and 14s easily. The second thing is, where we've got these crazy outlying clubs, we've got to cajole them. I think we're too late this season. We've already set this thing, but from here on, we're going to be much more, and it's going to be much more work for who's ever doing a USA thing to try and keep the geography more centralized, so that we can put more games in fewer places in some kind of order, so we can easily, so a ref will be easily attracted to it. If that doesn't work, then we just increase the pay. But
I think, Paul, another thing that I might think about it is, like, right now you have 7 or 8 regional assigner. And I think the club assigner, when it comes to question and things like that, that's where they should contact to get the assistant and whatever it is.
yeah, but you go again, you're a man, you're a highly organized guy that has been doing this for years, and obviously it's worked. They should be doing that, Hugo, I agree, but we don't get that kind of efficacy out of everybody. And that is our problem. And we've fined people, we've cajoled them, we've threatened them, we've bought them drinks at the AGM. I mean, we've done everything humanly possible to get better, what's the word? Better business practices, whatever you want to call it. But invariably, that just goes out the window when the first kid from Serbia decides he doesn't like the Croatian kid across him, and he strangles them or something. You say, well, how'd that happen? Well,
I can't speak for the other area, but because there's so many different leagues.
No, but you guys are in a different position, and Mike up here and Neil and those guys are really organized. I mean, they know what they're doing. They have a concept, and they're organized. Neil has been actually doing the scheduling. Well, that's ideal, right? Because he knows he's doing the refs too, and how he can do that. That makes perfect sense. I mean, that's almost like too smart. And he can find out the other leagues you're going to be in. I mean, if he's in the middle of that, but not everybody's like that. Mike and Kathy and you guys down there, and the guys at Charlotte, and Les and Kai's place, they're all highly organized and understand all of this stuff. That's really the simple that's the great part of doing this is you've got 10 guys and they're mostly the guys that we have on our board are from those organizations. It's the rest of them. And the rest of them comprise, 250 teams. And we could just tell them to screw off. That's be the easiest thing. Just get rid of them all and tell them we can't play anymore. But that wasn't what we were set up to do now. Again, whatever this morphs into. We don't own this. This is a member-driven group. So it's not like we own it and we can do anything we want and move it around. We gotta have a board. We gotta have people telling us what to do, and then we try and do it. Now we can argue back and forth, but that's all it is arguing, because eventually you can make a decision. We make the best decision we can collectively. And once we decide that, that's how we go, that's what we do.
Hey,
So right
Paul,
now-
I need to, before these guys start dropping like flies, I need to give credit here. Mark Brock, which club are you with? Esteban, which club are you with?
Mark is at Bartow.
Marcus at Bartow Soccer.
Mark's at Bartow?
Yep, Bartow.
What about Esteban?
I'm from North Lakeland.
North Lakeland. There's one more on here. Dale Strzok. Is he gone? Anybody know Dale?
Yeah, he's with East Pasco.
He's at East Pasco? Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
And you got Robbie. You had Robbie here, our Lake Wales guy.
Right.
All right, can we sign off now?
Oh, yeah. No, 2 more hours, you go.
No, I gotta get up. I gotta get up at 3:50.
I'll make a motion to end the meeting.
I thank every one of you guys for wasting this time with me, but I now know pretty much a lot more than I did before I started this. So I got some ideas, and we will continue to morph this as it works. So we'll be in touch with people, and it'll be Greg. Greg's gonna put this all together. He's gonna be the guy that really solves this entire thing, and he's more than capable of it. And you can trust him. He's grumpy, but he's really good.
I'm grumpy, just on bocce ball days.
And Greg, when it comes to the clubs down here, you don't have to do much. Just let me know and find out. You know what I mean?
I know. I'm well.
Yeah, but hey, but where? How about like Lee County and the guys as they start to get? Are they still in your grasp there, Hugo?
I got them in my palm.
Yeah.
How about the guys down south of you, the Naples Sharks? Are they still in there?
Oh, we do have Bonita. That's Crystal down there. So
you're all simpatico.
We're all in the same
Yeah.
pool. We all work.
How about, and there was a North Lakeland club that at one point, North Fort Myers. That was kind of an outlier. Yes. Are they still?
We had been Markley before, but they're not here. But I was talking to the signer for Bonita. She got 10 different leagues. So if you think about it, she has 10 different leagues. She's certified as signer. In my mind, it has to be better organized or having her assign all those 10 different leagues. That's my point of view. Because
where is she? North Fort Myers?
Bonita, Zurich.
Oh, Bonita.
John Dina, Paul, John Dina.
Yeah, and she said to me.
And where is that, Kathy? What club?
Bonita is just past Fort Myers. It's between Fort
Oh, okay,
Myers.
yeah, I know where Bonita is.
Yeah, so she signed 10 different 10 different leagues. Here comes Hugo knocking on the door. She has 2 teams in the USA. If you think about it, the whole picture, does it make sense? For me, it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. But
everything else, and here I come and knock on the door and take care of the center referee.
This thing has never made sense, Hugo. I got to the point that 20 years ago where I said, you can either get your way or you can get things done, but you can't get both. It just isn't, no matter what it is, it just doesn't work that way. It's like trying to get everybody to herd cats and put them in there. And so far we've been okay at it,
And if you think about it,